along the
Mm-hmm.
way. So
Okay.
um, I like a comment that was made in one of these last posts saying, well, I probably would have made more progress if I wasn't a novice. Well, yeah, same here.
Oh, somebody else said that?
Yes. I think it was Julia, Dominic. I'm bad with names too. So
Are uh-oh, things went dead. Are you still there?
yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Y- So she said she probably wouldn't have made, or she probably would have made more progress if she wasn't a novice
A
and you were
novice. Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
a novice. Okay.
Hmm.
And you were feeling the same way.
Yes.
Well, the thing about it is you're all just right behind where I'm at. I mean, we just started knowing this in 2016, you know. I mean, well, that's 8 years. Gosh, where did all the time go? Um, in 2016, and when I first started, I thought it was just as simple as, oh, you just grow the heel buttress. But then come to find out the whole foot, the capsule gets smaller, the whole foot gets bound. I mean, so we're not just growing heels. We're restoring the whole shape and form of the inner foot. So even just finding out what is the true foot of the horse, because it's got such strange distortions that it goes into. It's got so many false versions of itself, you know. Um, so it's been uh, hard. We're all novices, basically, you
Hmm.
know. Uh, we're doing something that nobody's ever done before because you can't do something you're unaware of. And so we weren't aware that any of this was even going on, you know? So we're all just right close to each other in this advancement thing, and each person is just so important um in you know sharing their data, because you're all like little individual scientists doing little individual case studies, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
and stuff. And who better than the horse owner to do this, because you get so the feet like the back of your hand, you know your horse. You know how he responds, how he acts, whether he's comfortable, whether he's not, whether he's improving, things like that, to where when a farrier or trimmer comes in, they they don't know the horse, they don't see the horse that much, and so they don't know uh, all of the ins and outs and idiosyncrasies of the horse and details and things like that that an owner sees, you know like so many times horses get trimmed and they're sore afterwards and the trimmer's gone, you know and then you're just left there to deal with it. The one thing I like is that usually, well, in most cases, if the feet aren't a total disaster, um, as people start doing this trim and allowing their feet to grow, horses do get more comfortable. You know, they may not be gravel crunchers, so to speak, but they do get more comfortable, which is comforting to a lot of people. So,
Well, I'm
okay.
actually riding my horse after having a horse that I felt um, was not sound enough to ride. So
Oh wow. Well, that's really encouraging to hear
it's
that.
great.
Yeah.
I
Well,
ride him in the arena. I'm not
mm-hmm,
taking him out. I walk him across rocks.
mm-hmm.
Um, I will boot him if I think I'm going to take him out on the rocks. But
Yeah.
um, he's happy in the arena. I lope him. I stop him. and he's actually getting under himself now, where he was really strung out before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm feeling a happy horse.
Wow. Well, that's really wonderful to hear. You know, that's awesome. Well, now, how long have you been with tact?
Um, Short of 2 years.
Mm-hmm. I figured about that long.
Hmm.
And this particular horse that you're talking about now, what kind of is his history?
Since around 2006 or seven, I started with um, the barefoot trimming
Mm-hmm.
and was off and on with farriers trimming him and going back to trying to trim him myself following, the Pete Ramey methodology.
Uh-huh.
Then I went to the Landerville and, in and out of farriers. And I, his back feet were really bull nosed and his front feet were flat. And I was like, can't we do something a little better with these feet? And,
Uh-huh.
but the Landerville was the tipping point that really, really sent things over the edge, and which was a hook, line, and sinker lie for me, that I thought, okay, maybe if I just rockered that toe, that not the toe, rockered the heel back a little bit,
Uh-huh.
because I didn't understand. So I would take a little bit from these different um, mentors and try to apply what I thought was safe, but not knowing what I was doing, just hoping I was doing something better than just turning them over to a farrier and having a sore horse again. Because
Mm-hmm.
whether I was in shoes or out of shoes, I still had lameness issues.
Mm-hmm. And so then when you learned that about the heels and that we've been led to trim out the heels, did that click with you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because looking at, I know you can't tell a lot by the sole view, but just looking at where the end of the heels lie on that solar view, it's like I had half a foot. It that that was, just gone,
Mm-hmm.
because the heel line was just too too far up. I needed to have more of a foot under him. And he used to have, when he was a colt, he had a nice big foot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really liked about my horse. He's a little on the bulldoggy side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he's big boned and stocky, and he should have a foot to hold his body.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. It's amazing how you look at some of these horses and the teeny tiny feet they have, you know, just how the feet have been so trimmed out of them and stuff. Well, I'm really glad that he is feeling better
Yeah,
because
me too.
not being able to ride your horse, and you've had the horse since he was a colt,
Hmm.
you know. So same thing with mine. Okay, he like my horse was bred to run, and I wanted to train him to run barrels and have my daughter ride him, and then he just quit liking to. He loved to run. I mean, he's a grandson of Mr. Masterbug, who was a All-American Futurity winner. I mean, he's bred to run, and he's double bred 3 bars on the other side. And man, that colt loved to run. And he just kind of quit loving to run. You wouldn't see him run around in the pasture like he used to, you know. But and of course I had to fix him, so I had to keep going. Um, it blows me away that for so long, well, but what do? you know, that for so long I kept thinking that wild horse quality foot was right around the next trim. And I kept trying to trim his foot. That image was so burned into my brain of that one dead wild horse of Jamie Jackson's. Um, I've got a notebook here. I finally found it where I got that picture on the cover. And I never even realized that because I had that thing. That thing was in the garage under a bunch of stuff. So I hadn't seen it for years. And then coming to all this realization, and then a month or two, I was digging around and I found it, and that picture was on the front of the notebook. Just a minute. I'm gonna be right back because I want to go get that and take a picture and show you guys a picture. Okay, just a second here. Show it back in there. Okay, so I'm gonna take a picture and send it in Facebook. I'll show you this old crusty notebook. Because what I did, all I knew about was Gene Ovanek's trimming, natural balance. And so I found some directions online, and that's what I did for about the first 6, 7, 8 months. But then as I looked online, well, I'll tell you what got me interested online. So I've been trimming 6, 7 months. And then my husband lost his job and we're like needing money. So I thought, well, I'll just advertise trimming. And I put some flyers up at the feed store, and this one guy called me, and I went out there and trimmed his horse. And this horse had a white line, pristine white line. You know how white line's yellow, pristine white line, an inch wide. And she was foundered, but he didn't tell me that till after I trimmed her. And her name was Cookie. And she walked up bad. She walked away worse. I mean, just days. And I freaked out. And I didn't understand how she could have a beautiful white line an inch wide. I've never seen anything like what I saw then since, but it was a laminar wedge. And so I was to find out. And so I came home. I just started researching like crazy. What is going on with this horse? And that's when I found out she had what's called a laminar wedge. But I don't think anybody's ever seen one like what I saw in this horse. It looked like it was stretched. It was, I don't know how to describe it. It was like small, tiny droplet bubbles, all perfectly formed together and pristine in color. And I mean, it was very interesting. I would have to draw pictures. But anyway, so I had this notebook, and I was doing Gene Ovanek's trim, and it was so hard. It was so hard. Well, just trimming is hard. Y'all know that. And so then I started researching. That's when I run into Pete Ramey. That's when I run into that trimming from the top thing off of his page, and then trimmed my horse into mechanical laminitis by rasping down the outer hoof wall too much. And that's when I run into, I did not know that this foot, I don't remember even hearing about Jamie Jackson's book for quite a while, till like in 2017. I may have, but I just never connected dots, you know. I never connected the dots that he was the main purveyor of this trim, and that all these guys, David Landerville, Pete Ramey, all go back to him. And wasn't until a few years ago, and it dawned on me, oh my goodness, we've been taught to make all our horses' feet look like us one dead wild horse wore its heels out. And so I've kind of been on that road ever since. But then one of the group members sent me all their hoof books, which is Pete Ramey's book and all of Jamie Jackson's books, a bunch of different ones, you know. So then I started reading his book, and then all the dots started coming together. All the dots coming together about it's like an STD. That's what a teaching can be like. An idea and a teaching gets transmitted like a virus, gets transmitted from one person to the next. And so it's like, you know, in the CDC or anything like that, when a disease starts, they go back and they trace where it came from, you know? And so the disease started here with this one horse's foot and that one man passing on his faulty ideas to other men who mean well, you know, like David Landerville, very talented man, very artistic. If he just would have had a different foot to look at, he'd have figured it out, because he is very, very artistic. So just a minute, I'm going to take a picture of this. Da, da, da. Let's see, camera. Okay. Okay. Now I'll send it to somebody on Messenger. Okay. Now I got to get on here and get on Messenger and find it. Let's see. Okay. I'm getting on Facebook just so you know what I'm doing here.
Linda, do you have your microphone muted?
How can you hear me now?
Much
Hello?
better.
Yeah, so I didn't mute. Sometimes this thing mutes itself. Okay, so how long have I been muted?
Well, I had a gray screen for a while with Woolie's name in the middle of it, and that was all quiet. And now when this one came on and you were moving your arrow, I thought you must be saying something.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I just took a picture of this. This is my notebook that I first made when I started trimming in 2005. And see what I put on the front? And it's all full. I've got a bunch of pages in here. Wow. Photos on how to trim. Yeah, I made quite the book here. I've got uh all kinds of stuff in here, but mostly started with Gene Obenek's trim and how to trim directions and just all kinds of pictures. And just a minute here. Trying to look back here. Yeah, and I've got Pete Ramey's pictures of the better wild horse foot. Now, here's the weird thing. So that image was put in my head. And this is what I kept trying to trim my horse's foot into. And if you'll ever notice, you go on these barefoot sites, you'll never see horses with their wild feet. You always see them, their feet in the brush like that, see? And so I can show you on my horse where I was definitely trying to trim his foot into that. And the thing about it is, though, we're in a wet climate. His hairline would never go down like that. He would always make false heel, and the back of his foot would raise up. But here's what's interesting. Now, if we were to go to Pete Ramey's site, we will find the two main wild horse dissected feet that are nothing like this foot. Nothing. And so I was always looking at those feet. But because this here was put in my head, this is a picture on the internet. Just like this, the foot sitting there with the perfection, the whole bit. Because this image was put in my head, I could not see the other two. And so this is the image Pete Ramey has in his head. And David Landerville wrote a deal, said the heart of hoof care. And in it, he said that Pete Ramey either told him or in his book, Pete Ramey said, burn that image of Jamie Jackson's wild horse foot into your brain. And David Landerville said, that is exactly what I did. And he also said that Jackson said that a wild horse's feet improve and get better over his lifetime. And then he said, even if it wasn't true, I would believe it. What kind of statement is that? But so this image, see, I'm not that way. If it's not true, sooner or later, my horse is going to tell me. My horse lives on sod. And like you, Maria, I will walk my horse across gravel, and like now he walks across fine. But for a long time there, it was like, he gimp on the rock. And because his feet weren't right. Now, these wild horses, they can deform their feet like this and still be relatively sound. But you got to think that this mare died in a roundup. This mare did not have good feet. And so this image, here's what I've learned over the years. If you don't know nothing about nothing or very little, and you go to school or church or a class or anything like that, where you're going to learn about a subject from somebody who claims to be an expert, if they themselves are deceived and believe a falsehood, but they have all this evidence that they're presenting to you that they themselves believe because they have studied something, or they've made a wrong determination, or they themselves have just been indoctrinated or whatever. When you don't know the truth to begin with, the first images that are put in your head will stick there like glue, even if they're false, and even if the truth is right in front of your face. See? And so I kept seeing these other images, but I was still not seeing them. And I've used this other image here. We're going to look at this other image because it is so much different. Let's see here. Oh, well, here you go. Just a minute here. Oh, I don't know why this thing ain't opening for me. Just a second. Okay. New share. Okay, this foot right here. Okay, this is the foot off of a wild horse up in Oregon that was given by Cheryl Henderson, who is one of those people she's got a lot of followers and written books and stuff, and does the wild horse natural, trim the heel out trim. So this was a foot that was given to Pete Ramey by Cheryl Henderson. And he dissects it. And this is what it looks like. See, he didn't know how to take the hoof capsule off, so he took it off this way. And so this is on his page. Okay. This foot here is not in any way, shape, or form like this foot here. Not at all. This foot here, the bulbs are on the ground. The hairline is at a 30-degree angle. This foot here, the bulbs are clear up here. At least almost 2 inches off the ground right here. The hairline is almost horizontal. See, it's not angled down like this. So what would it take to force this foot to be like this foot? See, that is what we have been led to do, is to take and force. See, this is the true foot of the horse right here. This is the real foot. Okay, this other foot, now this foot here, let's say there's a drought and this horse has to walk, 20 miles a day or whatever for the next 20 years. He could wear his heels out here. It would pull all this down. He would gradually wear them out. It would pull, think about it. He would make that, okay, Maria, like, how Landerville has you make that, trim those heels like that, trim them off like at a slant. Okay, this horse here, he could wear those heels. I mean, he's already a little worn there. You see that. If it happened more, eventually he would pull the whole back of his foot down. As he pulled the foot down and the heels would run forward. Let's see here, just a minute here. Let me annotate. Where are we at? Okay. As he pulled this part of the foot down here, okay, down to here, what happens is then these heels here start to be crushed up into the foot like that. Okay, and then he's going to be laying on his bulbs like so. All the horn tubules that are like this are going to be wanting to grow like that. These ones are going to be real short here and stuff. And so this coronary band here too, you see how straight it is? There's that nubbin. Wait a minute. Let me undo this here. Okay, this little nubbin here. Oops, wait a second. We talked about this at the last hoof chat. This little nubbin here, right there, that grows your heel buttress. That grows this heel buttress here. And you've got to have some definition to your core. Well, as the heels are trimmed out, this gets smashed around. This cartilage here gets pulled down here, and that won't even be there anymore. And all this gets pulled down to the ground. So this is the real foot that a horse has. And so Pete Ramey has this picture on his site, but he can't see it because before he ever saw it, that other image was put in his head by Jamie Jackson. And so he's got, this is one of the few dissected wild horse feet you will see. You would think that there would be a lot more maybe, but there isn't. There's only really three. I'm going to show them to you here. So this is just the internal foot of every horse. Every horse, their foot should be pretty close to just exactly this. This is anatomically correct. Let me think here. Okay, so just a second. So, I mean, look at that sole. Look there. And look how this fits up just snugly into the foot. You know, this is the bottom. This is the bottom of the collateral groove here. Right there. And look at the uniform sole thickness. And you can bet that if you had a horse with a foot like this and you wanted to rouse down into the sole a little, you would get a clean white line all the way around. Because this may look like it's scooped, but it really isn't. It's just the way the foot is being held. Because look at the sole. The sole is uniform. See that? Because the foot actually sets flat, but the coffin bone in the foot is at an angle because the sole corium gets thicker as it goes into the heel. You know, the coffin bone stops right about here. This is all cartilage back here. All of this. The heels are cartilage. And so that looks a lot different than this image here that was put in Pete Ramey's brain, put in David Landerville's brain, and put in my brain. And so I tried to get this on my horse for almost, well, 7 to 8 years at least, because I know I started trimming in 2005, and within 2 years was when I got introduced to Pete Ramey's stuff and things like that. And somewhere along the line, I printed out this picture. Oh, it come from Tribe Equus. Have you ever heard of them? So this is the image that was put in their head by Jamie Jackson. See, I just looked down here. It said tribeequus.com. See, they're big natural hoof care teachers. And so what it is it's Jamie Jackson that came along with this one dead wild foot and put this image in everybody's head. And so everybody's trying, and now you know why the boot companies have arisen. And there's so many different, there was only like Easy Boot, maybe one other. But when the barefoot movement started, whoa, now there's all kinds of different companies and more people all the time inventing hoof boots. Because putting this foot on a horse makes them unsound. Now, see, it's hard to describe because you can have a foot that looks similar to this that is not like this at all. And some horses in a dry climate where David Landerville lives in Arizona, like if he would have lived in my climate, maybe he would have done what I did and finally said, this just isn't working. But because he lives in a dry climate in Arizona, you see what happens is as you trim the heels out, that peri-opal band constricts and gets thicker. And then it dries and it totally binds the foot right there. It's like a steel band on that foot. And so it keeps the capsule from coming off and it binds the whole foot up here into that capsule. But when you live in a wet climate, that does not work. And in Arizona, whenever it rains, if it rains for very much, the horses go lame. Like when these feet are super bound and really dry, and see, you'll hear this too from Jamie Jackson and a lot of these barefoot teachers about how water is an enemy, and stuff. Well, it's not. All you have to do is look at the Salt River wild horses and the wild horses in Colorado and and Utah and any wild horses that are in a place where they can get in water. They love it. And they've got the best feet of any wild horses. Horses that live out on the desert that hardly ever get any water and have to go 20 miles a day do not have very good feet. They're hoof bound and distorted, and they can be sore footed as well. And so let's see over here. So you see how confusing it is, because on the one hand he promotes David Landerville's trim, Jamie Jackson's trim, which he makes his own trim, and it's all about trimming the heels out of thing and rampant heels and all that. Okay, and he told David Landerville to burn the picture of that other foot I just showed you into his brain. But yet you can go on their site and you'll see this foot and it's nothing like that foot, but they can't see it. And I did not see it either. I did not see it for almost, however, 7 to 10 years. All right. I did not see it. I used this foot as a model for the foot we should have on the horse. I talked about this foot a lot, and I showed this foot, and you can go to where the warnings I have on the trimming from the top, and I have this I have a page of this foot printed out, and I am talking about how this foot is our model. Yet the whole time, just a minute here, the whole time, this foot is burned into my brain, and this is the foot I'm trying to get on my horse. So do you see the contradictions there? And so that's what's going on with people. They may see some of these other feet, but because this one foot was burned into their head, because that's what happens when you are a novice, novice or new at something, and then an expert teaches you something, and they put that image, that picture in your head, and you accept it as the truth, then it's really, really hard sometimes to see the truth, unless you get in a position like all of us have got in, where we've tried to put this foot on our horse, and the trimmers we've hired have tried to put this foot on our horse, even if we didn't realize it. And yet our horses are unsound. Our horses kept saying, "You're wrong. You're wrong." My horses kept saying, "You're wrong. You're wrong." So that's just one. You know, you'd think a wild horse, natural trim based on wild horses, we'd be looking more at these feet that are being dissected than just this one foot here, you know. Just a second here. New share. Okay, so see what else I got here. So you see this foot here. This foot here on the right was barefoot trimmed for 16 years. This foot here, just trimmed by a farrier. He left the pillars long a lot of times, but her foot was not deformed, or inner foot was not deformed in any way. And so you see the shape, and it's pretty symmetrical, same here as over here. Now, this was a mare, and this was a gelding, and he was bigger boned. I did these two dissections at the same time. He was bigger boned, and he would have had bigger feet than her. But you see how his foot was forced into a small capsule that he had to live in for many, many years. And he was trimmed by a professional barefoot trimmer who learned this kind of trimming. Same thing I did to my horse's feet, crush their heels. Now I'm trying to uncrush their heels so they'll grow in straight. But look at it. Look at how swollen the foot. Look at how distorted the frog is. And look here. Even the distance from where the apex of the frog would be right here to the toe. Look at the divot in the toe it created. See, this is the true shape of a frog. This is a distorted, ugly frog corium. So what happens to your horse? You've been trimming your horse to try and look like that one dead wild horse that wore its heels out of Jamie Jackson, that is the model. Okay. And it deforms the inner foot. And so you're not just restoring the hoof capsule, you're trying to move the foot back into place. I don't know what you could ever done for this horse. You know, he had such a medial lateral imbalance. His foot would have been bigger than hers. But because it was all crammed into a small capsule, this is what it looks like right here. I mean, I'm going to ask you folks, do you see the difference here? Do you see the difference? And when you look at it from the heels down, you can see it just looks so swollen and sore, you know. And literally, okay, this is what you can do to these feet. You can bend them totally in half, by the way. It's one thing that can happen to them. Another thing, I showed you on the foot before that here's the coronary band, supposed to have a little nubbin back here that the heel buttress grows from. This horse doesn't have it. Why is that? Because this is my mare and I trimmed the heels out of her for years. I had restored some heel height, but it wasn't a real heel because, and at that time when she died in 2016, I didn't know yet that the whole foot could be wrapped around into there. See? So you see how she has no nubbin? That little nubbin, that heel buttress nubbin, is wrapped around. So it's just smooth here. It's just smooth. And so even though it may have looked like she had heel buttress, she had none. Because it was covered over and it wasn't growing any. So we know whose foot that is. I don't know what that's doing in that file. When was that? That was in 23. Look at that, Marilyn.
I'm looking.
What a difference, huh?
I wish I had that foot today.
I wish you did too. And so you see how a trimmer, and when we trim our horses, we have to pay attention to what is going on with these tubules on the side, because they can just gradually start to take over. Like okay, this right here, it had a little ways to come back yet, but then so did this heel here, see? And stuff, and then this cartilage get a little bigger, but the foot was looking pretty good.
That's the hind foot though. It always did look better than the front.
Is it? Oh, okay, well.
But even the hinds now don't look that good.
Yeah. See, because what'll happen is these horn tubules here, if you don't watch it, they can wind up clear up here. Like that. So we got to always be paying attention to these horn tubules. Let's see. Where are my drawings? Get out of there. Let's see what I got here. That's a front foot there, isn't it? Or is that a rear foot? No, that's a hind, left hind. Somehow I got these pictures in my file here. I don't know. I don't even know what I have on this file. Anyway, oh yeah. Here, look. You know what that is? That's blood. Just like on my fingernail here where I banged it. And it's all grown out now. Okay, so I'm going to show you this other wild horse dissection. If I can remember where it's at. Just a second here. Okay, well, looky here. Here's Pete Ramey. Here's Pete Ramey, and he went in 2006. He went to look at wild horses, and he found this 3-year-old mare in a cattle guard, and so he pulled her out, got her feet, and this is her feet, and these feet are nothing like Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse rear foot that wore its heels out. That he wants everybody to trim their horse's foot to be like. And he has brainwashed all the rest of everybody too, because I would call it indoctrination, okay, with error, with falsehood. Even if, it doesn't mean that it's being done purposely, but when people come and draw wrong conclusions, then they teach it to others, teach it to others, who teach it to others. And these people are in a position of looking like authorities. Then this false image gets put in your head of, so you could look at this foot and not see what was right in front of you, which he doesn't. Now, these are the 4 feet off that mare. Notice she doesn't have a concave foot. Does anybody notice that? Look at that. Does that foot look real concave to you? Not at all. Okay. Here's and see, to prove the point, does that look concave? That's not concavity. That is that convex sole ridge that grows around the perimeter. Look at there. Now, is that a toe callus? No, there is no such thing. That is a sole ridge. And let me tell you why that Gene Ovnick, he saw it on wild horses and he thought it was a callus. That's because he did not know the true anatomy of the sole. None of them do. They never have. But I do, because I kept looking at inner feet till I finally noticed that the sole corium lips up over the edge of the foot and it grows a convex ridge of sole around the whole perimeter. So if you're taught that the sole is only concave, well, if a ridge shows up like this, you gotta figure out some reason why it's there, right? And so he thought, oh, it's a callus in the toe. No, it's not. It should be it's around the whole perimeter of the foot, and it is a convex sole ridge. So, but you see here that foot is not concave. Now let's talk about the Mustang roll that Jamie Jackson wants people to do. Okay, which is making this big fat roll bevel around the foot. Well, I want you to notice something. Look at these, are horn tubules. What are they doing? Who can tell me what these horn tubules are doing? Can anybody see it?
Coming down and bending under.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Hey, we already know that these horn tubules can bend out like that in a flare, right? So there's something that happens when these babies get up and follow their mother and they start rolling over that wall. They literally roll the wall inward like this, which is so cool because they're not beveling it. They are forging their feet and molding their feet. And so the very outward tubules curve around like that, which is amazing. We'll have to settle with a small bevel probably, but there's the rear foot. Okay, that does not have a 30-degree hairline. There's the toe again. Does that look concave? Now, here's the deal again that I want to stress. The image that was burned into this man's brain is of that one foot. This foot again, want to make sure you see it, the same image that was burned into my brain. And in case somebody got here late or something, if you don't know, this is the notebook that I made for myself when I first started trimming. And well, this picture I got later because I started with Gene Ovanek's trim. It's full of his stuff. I got a lot of his stuff in there. But this is the image that was burned into my brain that I kept trying to put on my horse. This is the image that is burned into all of these people's brains that you want to mention. I don't know if you've heard of Tribequus, but they've been around for a long time. Okay, teaching people. I think they're up in Canada. Okay, Pete Ramey. I mean, you name it. David Landerville, Hoofing Marvelous. Hoofing Marvelous are Jackson followers. This is the foot they want to put on your horse too. Now they're right now they're letting some toes grow long on foundered horses, which I'm not against. Okay, but they're taking the heels way, way, way down because this is the image that has been put in their brain as well. So let's see here. Let me go back. We're just talking about how you get the wrong picture in your head. Okay, so here's that wild horse again. Does that sole look concave? No. Here, I want to draw up some more photos of that one wild horse foot. Just a minute here. God, I'm overdoing it. Hold on. Just a second. Maybe I got some in here. Oh, nope. Okay, my computer says it's working on it. Oh man. I gotta clear this thing out. It's just a second. Maybe I can find it somewhere else. Oh, now it's giving me the when it gives you that little sand dial timer thing telling you that you can't do something. It's not going to let you do something. That's what it's doing. Well, we'll just keep going here. Look at that. Does that look concave? Really? Not much, does it? Look how thick the frog is. Let's see. Okay. This thing is going to let me look for something else. Just a minute. Okay. Oh, let's see. Okay, so in case you're wondering what I'm looking at, I want to find some more pictures of that. One model that has been burned into so many people's brains, and it is the foot we're looking at is wild horse foot too, and it's totally the antithesis opposite of that foot. And I'm trying to explain to you why it is that let's see here. Just a second. I'm trying to explain to you why it is that, well, if I can, we can have the wrong image put in our head when the right one is still right in front of our face. How easily we can be deceived, how easily we can be blinded by experts. By the experts. If the expert is wrong, because of this reverence and respect we have for people who we think are authority figures. See, my motto is trust no one, not even yourself. Let's see here. Nope, I got the wrong deal. Just a second here. H-I-J. Just a minute. Okay. Let me find this foot. Trying to find a good picture of it. Okay, well, looky here. The foot we were just looking at. Okay, and here are the 2 feet next to each other. Let's see. New share. Okay. I should have made this smaller because it would have been a lot smaller than this one. Okay. See up here the pastern. See the pastern here. So I made this too big, just so you know. Okay. So, but can you see a difference? See, that's that one. That one would have been about like that, and this one would have been about that much smaller. Because the capsules get smaller, and even here, even though I made a little too big, and which I tried to do it to specs, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that much smaller, but there's a whole difference here in these 2 feet. And there's really a lot of difference in, where is it? If we go back to this foot here, right there. Well, yeah. Anyway, that other foot we were looking at with the high hairline. So let's keep going here. Okay, so if you look at this foot, okay, now when he cut this foot off, he cut the top of the foot off, so the cartilage is not there. Okay, now I want you to look at something here. Look at the sole corium right here. No, I was telling, they don't know, and this comes from the farriers. They don't know what the sole looks like. They think it's only concave. They think that the sole corium is only underneath the foot. They do not know that there is a rim of sole around the outer upper ledge that grows a convex ridge of sole. So this sole growing from here wraps around like so and grows a convex rim of sole that keeps the edge of this foot perfectly protected. So they think, okay, so like here's the edge of the sole corium. They think it stops right here. And so they think it's only concave. They do, even though they've seen it. See, you can see something and not see it. They don't know that there is a rim of sole that we can't see here that was up here that is right here on the outer edge that grows a convex ridge of sole around this whole thing, including the toe. And so since they think it's concave, if they were to see a big lump in the toe there, they would think it might stand to reason that somebody would misinterpret that as a callus, as a buildup of sole, and not as something natural. Okay, so here you can just barely see that same convex rim of sole that's growing this convex ridge of sole. Now look here, the interesting thing, how we talk about the wall starts up here, the internal lamina on the other side of the horn tubule that you would see right in this spot, right here. Just a minute. We'll make it in Well, let's just do it in blue. Okay, so the internal lamina, well, we'll do it in white. The internal lamina is connected into these right here, like leaves of paper. Okay, and it grows right down to here where it joins up with the sole. And then this emits a yellow glue because the sole here does not have lamina. Okay, so it shoots glue into the lamina leaves of the hoof capsule. And then from there, they got to grow down a specific deal together. Do you see these over here? You see these horn tubules? You see them right in here? You see the angle they're at? Okay, now this horn tubule, it grows down here and connects right here to the sole. That's supposed to be there for the life of the horse. Now, you see the thickness of the wall here. Look at here. The horn tubule on the inner part of the capsule is connected to the lamina right here. Grows to about there. Then this corium here emits a yellow biological glue that it injects into this lamina and connects it to the sole, and then they grow to the ground together like that. And so that's why you'll have that white line that's really yellow around the whole thing. Now, look here. Look at here. It's the outer part of the wall, right? Let me do this in thicker just a minute. Here's the outer part of the wall. That's the outer. This outer tubule should be in alignment with the inner lamina that's on the other side. Do you see that? Well, yeah, right in here. And so, just like over here, even though he has removed the wall, out here, the outer wall on the other side is that lamina right there. And so we look at these horn tubules, and they should be in alignment to where they would start up here, and we know that internally they're connecting with the same piece of sole right here. So what happens is when this is allowed, when the heels are lowered, it puts everything at an angle, shoving forward. And instead of this piece of wall here growing down and being right here, it starts to get pushed forward, like so. Also, the foot starts to bend in the center, and so it disrupts this connection here of the lamina in the hoof wall to the sole. And that is why you will see so many horses, they have separation in the quarters. And that's why people are always scooping the quarters too. See, so these feet are a specific configuration and way, and anything else is wrong, period. I don't care what anybody says. Biological things of anatomy are built in a specific way. And that is the way every single horse is the same. They all have the same anatomy to their feet. They may have a different size. Some may have a little steeper dorsal wall than others. Some may have a little steeper hairline than others, but they all have to have the same exact structure. Meaning how this wall fits, the fact that it's longest in the toe up here, up here, that it's longest in the toe, and then that they gradually get shorter as they go back towards the heels back here, but not so short that the bulbs are on the ground. Let me see something here. Da, 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 da. God, got a fly after me. So this is a wild horse foot. One of the few that's ever been dissected. And it is not at all like that other foot. Okay? This foot here is not at all like that foot of Jamie Jackson's. But when Jamie Jackson's heelless wild horse rear foot has been lodged into your head, you can't see this foot. Because, see, I looked at this foot for years, along with that other one, and I still didn't see him. All I saw was that one dead wild horse footed Jamie Jackson's that I kept trying to put on my horse. And that is what all these people are doing. And they don't realize it. See? And then you get somebody like David Landerville, who is very artistic and very talented. Okay? And he kept working at it till he figured out how, at least with some of these horses, to force their feet into looking just like Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse that wore its feet out. And why shouldn't he be able to do that? Because the horse itself did that. So if a human thought that was the foot a horse should have, if you worked at it long enough, you could create the right environment and do the right trim that you could force that horse's foot to look just like that. But that horse is going to suffer to do that. Now, wild horse, over 20 years, gradually doing that, they're still going to suffer. Because let me tell you what suffers: function. That foot will never function correctly. And so them horses, you don't know if they're in pain or not. Now, I do, because I know that if your anatomy gets distorted or injured, you are going to be in pain 9/10 of the time. Okay, so I can look at a horse and at his feet, and because I know the anatomy and what his feet should be, and I know what's going on inside his foot because of what's happened to it, then I know that there's blood in there. And I mean that he's bleeding, that he's bruising, that his foot is contorting, that he's being pulled and ripped and crammed, and he's got inflammation. But, they're silent sufferers. And so and if something's happened where he can't even feel his feet hardly anymore, then his tendons are being ripped apart, his ligaments, it's going on up into his shoulder, into his back, into his this, into his that, into his stifle, everything like that, because it's a loss of anatomical function. And so they have to learn to adapt. The other body parts have to adapt and take up the slack for the part that isn't working. And so that leads to injury. See, injury. That's why we got all the chiropractors and body workers and stuff like that. So okay, I want to show you something here. So you have these people, and they think these trims are just great. And especially these endurance people that have been sucked into this. Okay, their horses have feet that are a lot like wild horse feet. especially some of these people in Africa. They got these endurance horses. Okay. But here's the thing they don't know. Like, okay, so Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse foot that wore its heels out, that died in a roundup. Okay, he never saw that horse alive or how it moved or anything else. And so that is promoted as, look, it has low heels. Okay, supposedly. Well, it does. It has no heels. And so you look at a horse like this. Okay, look at the back of this foot. Do you see any heel? What do you see right there? Not much, huh? Not much heel. Well, actually, he's got a lot of heel, but you see this skin? You see this skin? This periopal skin, and probably some of it's frog too. Okay. What happens is when their feet are right and you got this big, huge frog stay clear up between the bulbs, and then this is the periopal band over the bulb right here. And then as everything grows, this periopal covers up the whole back of the foot. And so, let me annotate here. And so, in reality, from here down, you have heel. If we were to clean out this groove, like if we were to take and cut this out right here, you could cut this out. You'd see the frog right there. You'd see the collateral groove right there. And you'd see that this guy had heel all the way from here to here. That his heel isn't just this little nubbin here, but that his heel goes all the way to here. And how do we know that? Well, look up here. What is this? Do you know what this is right here? That is where the heel buttress grows. This is that little nubbin on the back of the coronary band. See? Okay, here's the coronary band. Here's the little nubbin. Right there. And so this grows the heel buttress. And this is the heel of the horse right here. Okay, so this heel buttress grows from right here. Okay, right here. You see this? Wait a minute. Just a minute. Okay, you see this lighter colored, a little bit lighter colored corium here? Okay, that's periopal corium. Right here, you see the periopal skin? Right in here, this periopal skin. Okay, probably right about there. And then it sticks to the heel as it grows. Okay, so here's the heel buttress right here. There's behind this is a big heel buttress. It's huge. Look at how huge it is. And it grows and it is attached. Well, wait a minute. It is attached to this heel here. Right in here. I can't draw it perfect. Let's see. I'm thinking this is frog corium right here. There's the collateral groove. Yeah, now I'm recognizing stuff better. Here's the collateral groove in here. Here's the frog corium here. Okay, and here's where your heel buttress grows right up in here. And all down the back of the foot. So that heel buttress goes from, I need another color since I've made a mess. I could call this my own form of sacred geometry here. I'm being sarcastic in case nobody gets that. You got these people, they draw triangles and masonry signs on the foot, and they say that we should trim the foot according to sacred geometry. That's a religion, people. That isn't something you need to be applying to your horse's foot. You need to learn the anatomy. And so the heel that goes from here to there, also on here, goes from about here to here. See, he's got good that's about an inch and an inch and a half, 3/4. And then you got the bulb. Like, you know what we do? We measure from the bulb skin all the way down to the heel. So he's got 2-inch heels altogether, counting the bulb right there. Now I've made this nice mess. Yeah, that's my sacred geometry right there. Don't want to build no structures out of that, but anyway. Okay, let me undo that. Okay, so now do you see it here again? Let's do this again real quick. Okay, so here's the coronary band. Here's the nubbin that sticks out the back. Okay, that's the coronary band up here. This is the foot right here. Let's see. Let's do this. Okay, so there's a frog. So wow, I mean the papillae, the little papillae on this, just so amazing. So somehow here is a frog corium going about like so. Okay, this is a frog corium. This is the central sulcus. This is the frog stay, way up high between the foot, very thick. Okay, so here's our frog. I got a fly after me. Let's see here. Let's go for a different color. Go for blue. Okay, this is the back of your heel here. This is the back of your heel. So I'm trying to think here. Anyway, the heel buttress grows in here, right in here on the back of the foot. And so your heel will be down here, kind of like where this is. Here's the heel over here. So that would be your heel. Okay. And then your sole, here's your sole corium right here. Right there. So now if you look at this over here, when these feet are all together, you could see how somebody might look at them and make a mistake and think that they didn't have heels, see, or that they had very low heels. So, probably. Now, Gene Ovenick said the ones he studied, their heel, he saw differing heel height. Jamie Jackson said, oh, they're just all the same. It could be that all he saw was all this skin here. And so he just saw this little nubbin of a heel. And so he did not know the anatomy. And so he assumed that they had no heels. Okay? And so then when he got that one dead wild horse foot, he just made it the model for everything. I would like to think that that's kind of what happened there, that it's just one big fat mistake, but his big fat mistake put an image in people's heads that they are trying to trim their horses' heels down too, because now we know what he really believed. He believed they had no heels at all. And so he finally finds a foot that looks like it has no heels, and he has the whole world thinking that's what they got to put on their horse. So, and I'm just saying what he said. That's what he says in that interview. They have no heels. And what he put in his book, he put a centimeter mark kind of way in front of the heel, because he didn't want to come right out and say, oh, horses have no heels. They would have laughed him to scorn. Okay. but as it is, this idea just came in here and gradually overtook everyone to where you got people trying to put a 30-degree hairline on their horse, and that lowers the heels. It'll take this heel here and crush it up that way. It will bring this bulb that should be uh uh almost 2 inches off the ground, and it will force it clear down to the ground. It will deform the whole book, the whole foot. It will strip this frog stay pretty much out of the foot. See, his bulb is clear up here. And in Jackson's horse, he wants it to be clear down here. So you have to mutilate these horses' feet to force them into that. Let's see. All right. Well, anyway, come on. Oh, did that other one have this? Yeah. Okay. Plus, look here. I guess I wasn't paying attention to that. What's that say? From up there to there. What's that say? 2 inches.
2 inches.
Right? Okay, so see, not just me, not just a figment of my imagination. Now, I don't know. I may have seen that and picked up on the 2-inch thing off of this, but I don't know. I don't remember why I started thinking they needed to have 2-inch heels. But it was a combination of probably seeing this and also doing the dissections where I was measuring the feet, but all these things contributed to that. And yeah, anyway, see what we got here. Okay, here's some wild feet. Now, these don't look anything like Jamie Jackson's wild horse foot. Boy, I'd have liked to have got those. Oh, just a minute. Here's a cowboy without shoes on his horse. He's got heel. I don't know if you can see it. So I collected all these old pictures of these bronzes because, these people out west, a lot of these cowboys, first of all, they caught wild horses for ranch horses. Second of all, many of them did not shoe their horses. And I know this for a fact from my friends that have a ranch there in Wyoming where they've never shot a horse on that ranch ever. Okay, so look at that foot. See? Oh, you don't want to watch that. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to take that off there. That's hot what? That is, in case you're wondering what that was, now I'm going to have to cut that out. That is, that's a form of transition, people. That's when you transition from being a woman to a man and you have genitals built into your body. Sorry, I didn't know that was there. I didn't mean to show that. So, but technically, hey, okay, so you take somebody who thinks they're born in the wrong body, okay? And they want to have gender affirming surgery. So if you're a woman, they're going to take skin here and they're going to build you genitals. If you're a man, they're going to cut them off. Well, if you're a woman, they're going to cut them off too. They're going to cut your breasts off. If you're a man, they're going to build you breasts and they're going to cut your genitals off. Okay, they call this trans surgery, right? Because these people are transitioning into a different gender that they feel like they would be more comfortable with. Now, whether anybody agrees with any of that or not, the fact of the matter is, I find it interesting. They're calling it transition. And here we go. What do they call it? What do they call it when you take the shoes off your horse and you want to trim your horse into having a foot like this? Just a minute here. Where am I at? Come here, new share. Like this. What do they call it? You're transitioning. And do you know that many horses are failing to transition? Why is that? Because that's not their real foot. They're being forced to have a foot they were not born with. See? Now, your horse is never, ever, 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 ever going to want this kind of foot on his foot. So, technically, we're doing a form of mutilation in order to force these horses to have feet like this. Oh God, I'm probably gonna have to go through the video and try and cut that out. Maybe it's kind of grotesque, but you know, that's what they're doing to people, my friends. So, you know, I feel sorry for people, but I feel sorry for horses who are not choosing to transition to a foot that they were never born to have to begin with. So anyway, I was going to try and find some more pictures of that foot, but my computer will not let me into my I have another what do you call it, hard drive. I have a hard drive that is let's see here, external hard drive. That's what I've got. Oh my goodness sakes. Yeah, I thought that, you know, we hear all this stuff in the news and everything and people going through and, you know, and then I got to thinking about how in the barefoot movement, they call this transition. And so many horses are failing to transition. Well, why is that? So many boot companies. Why is that? Because the horse was never meant to have this foot to begin with. So, you know, I'm into science and studying these things and studying anatomy, both human and animal. Let's see, pictures. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can. Aha! We're in. I got into my deal here, to my wild horse pictures, where we can look at that foot a little closer. Because, see, I really studied these feet. See, let's see, where should we start? I'm just gonna start here. Let's see. I'm gonna go through all my wild horse pictures here. Okay. Well, not my wild horse foot pictures. Let's see. Wait a second. Okay, if I click on this, does it come up? Let's see, new share. Yeah, it does. Oh, nope, it doesn't. There we go. Okay, so here is that foot we just looked at. I don't see any massive concavity here. What I do see is a big, thick, convex sole ridge around the perimeter of the foot here. And look back here. Okay, you know how on a lot of these horses you got cleavage right here because the bulbs are pulled in? right here. Look how full it is back here. Okay, it doesn't go in like that. This is full. See, and that's the thing about the true foot of the horse. The bulbs are not pulled in like that. Okay, so that's somebody who got a dead wild horse from somewhere. Okay, so this is a Brumby Outback horse that was gotten by either Chris Pollitt or somebody like that. And so they sell these in Australian money. It's only $900 if you want one. I don't know how much that is in American money, you know, but he did a 3D thing on it. But I want you to notice something. He hasn't got the foot in there. He hasn't got the cartilage correctly formed, and he hasn't got the rest of the material on the foot. So see, because these experts, this is how they see the foot. They see a capsule with parts in there, and the main thing that they see is the coffin bone. They do not recognize the fact that these horses have a whole foot in there, because hoof capsules have been notoriously hard to take off. And so they will slice them down the center and look at them with the hoof capsule on. And then when the x-ray machine came, that made it even worse, because in the x-ray machine, all you see really is the coffin bone. And so they focus on the coffin bone, and they do not see the rest of the foot. So it's pretty cool, really, that I wonder why I can't. I think my well, the little hourglass just came up. You know what that means? That means that my hard drive is gonna screw me over. Let's see. Yep, there you go. See it? Come on. Come on, don't be dead. Stupid thing. Oh, okay. Close the program. Okay, well, we'll close the program. Okay, but we're gonna open it again too. Let's see. Pictures. Dum-dum-dum. We'll open it again. I just gotta be careful what I click on. Okay, just a minute and we'll get back to screen sharing. Okay. Okay, well, let's skip down. Okay, so let's see. See, so I studied these feet a lot, like here. Please open up, you stupid thing. God. It's gonna do it to me again. I need more memory in my computer. Oh, there it goes. Just slow. So I'll do stuff like this. See how I take that one foot, okay, and I would place it on the capsule just to try and get an idea. How does that foot fit in there? Then I take the other foot and try and fit it in that capsule, and just doing this stuff constantly, trying to understand these feet. And like this is the only two real dissected wild horse feet that we have, is from him. Now there was another guy, somebody gave him a dead foot and he cut it in half, and that gives you a pretty good idea. And he did a lot of things with this foot here that was good. Like he took all of this off a half of the foot, except he did not take the coffin bone off. And so you can see that coffin bone sets in this foot at an angle in the foot. And so if you're to look at this foot here, okay, you will see that the foot actually sets flat, but the coffin bone in the foot was at an angle. See, here's the other foot. It sets flat too. The foot looks like, level. I say flat, but level down here. There isn't a scoop in it. And, but what about the coffin bone? The coffin bone is set in these feet at an angle. The sole corium gets thicker as it goes towards the back and the heel, and that is the way the coffin bone is set in the hoof. And so in barefoot trimming, when looking at a horse that wore its heels out, they say that the coffin bone is ground parallel, meaning the coffin bone is flat. And so let me do this here. White. Okay, so this coffin bone would set in this foot at an angle, like so. Okay, now in both of these feet, it would be like so. And so in barefoot trimming, because they have a horse where they've taken the hairline that should be up here and they've gone down like that, well, that's going to affect that coffin bone. That's going to affect these heels too. Okay, so what happens is they wind up crushing the heels up so that the coffin bone winds up being what they call ground parallel, like that. But the coffin bone in the foot itself is set at an angle like this. But once you trim the heels out and crush these heels up, then you make it flat. You make it come down. And so you're going to wind up with not only that, but you can wind up with a negative palmar angle as well. But it is supposed to be set in a foot at an angle. Just like your bones are set in your foot in a certain way. Okay, just a second here. Okay. So there's that foot again. Now the cartilage is dried up. And so you don't see the cartilage up here. And of course, now there's my little hourglass again. Stupid thing. Yep, there it goes. I'm going to have to get all these pictures transferred to another deal. Now, just a minute here. So I studied that foot that I was just showing you. And I tried to mark all the parts. See, hoof walls and soles, almost an inch thick. There's the frog corium. There's the sole corium. There's the heel buttress. There's the hoof wall lamina and the end of the heel right here going around into the sole and bar. This is the apex of the frog, the top of the frog stay, the central sulcus, the frog skin or periopal skin, the bulb skin. Says, don't be deceived. Just because someone cuts up a foot or takes a picture of it does not mean that in truth they understand jack about it. And that is the truth. So I've shown you here the skin going down the heel buttress, wall pillar. The heel buttress is about 2 inches long. About 2/3 of it is hidden from view due to frog skin or periopal attachment to the end of the heel. This is why stupid man overlowers the heel, because they have never in truth really correctly studied the true anatomy of the horse's foot. And that is the truth. And part of the reason they haven't is because they inherited errors from people that came before them. And so they had a foundation of error, of lies already established in their thinking. And so if your foundational knowledge is incorrect to begin with and you think it is the truth, you cannot see what is there. A big part that happened to me was, well, see, I was lucky I didn't know all the details of their false knowledge, but I had enough that it had still blinded me and stuff. So a big thing I had to overcome too was unlearning the mistakes that they made. Like the fact that the soul is concave. No, it's not. See? But I'm good with shapes. All right? And so after I looked at enough of these feet and I kept seeing how that corium lipped up over the edge, and plus, long story, made a mistake and something else. Anytime I make a mistake, it winds up being a good thing, because then I wind up finding the truth. See, when I'm trying to figure something out, I can't explain how that works, but it does. Okay, so this is the third wild horse foot to be dissected. This is a farrier. I think he must have passed away or something, because I can't find him anywhere on the internet anymore. And somebody gave him a wild horse's foot that is the antithesis of that one of Jamie Jackson's. And so he cut it in half. This is what you call a sagittal section. Hope I'm saying that word right. And so what you'll see here, you'll see, oh, he had a really nice thick frog, big frog stay up between the bulbs. Let's see here. This was the foot right here that they gave him. This is the opposite of Jamie Jackson's wild horse foot that wore its heels out, which when you wear the heel out, what's it going to do? Pull the hairline way down, pull the bulbs down to the ground. And of course, there's our hourglass again. Yeah, this is irritating. Oh, there we go. Now here's both of them. And so you compare this foot, this one dead wild horse foot, to Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse foot, and you will find that they are complete opposites. And that this foot is like the one that internally, like the one that Pete Ramey had. Okay, so here I have them all here. Here's that one dead wild horse foot that had heel. Now look at it internally. It's got this big frog up here. Look, it's got a big thick sole. Look at the shape of the sole. Convex. See? Convex. Convex. So got a lot of sole. Now you remember this horse had an inch of sole. Okay, this is the same horse where we saw it was all red and bloody and had the lamina on the side. Well, he took all that off. And so what you have here, you have the coffin bone. Look at the angle of the coffin bone. It's a positive angle, right? But the foot itself was flat like that. Just a minute. So now it's not exactly like this foot. Look at it here. Okay, but it's got heel, and neither of them are like that thing, that poor horse. And this is a rear foot. This is not even the front foot of that horse. This is a rear foot. How is it that he got us all to putting the rear foot of a horse on all of our horses' feet? Well, see, now this foot conformed more to the ideal that he was trying to put forth. Because if you look at the front feet on the same horse, You could really tell she had really collapsed run to run heels. So of course, we had to kind of scoot that under the rug so that we could promote this foot here as the natural foot. So let's look at this foot. Thin sole. Well, first of all, the coffin bone is deformed and not even wholly there. In fact, it's deformed right here. Thin frog. Where's the frog stay? There isn't none. Look at the hairline, clear down on the ground. And so that's what he wants you to force transition your horse's foot into. A foot your horse was never designed to have, ever. This horse here that had this foot, this is not her original foot. Whatever happened here to this horse to cause this foot over time wore its heels out. This is still not the best foot for this horse. I mean, crying out loud, she had next to no frog. She's walking on her bulbs. Her coffin bone is deformed. See? Look at the frog here, up between the bulbs. Remember, like here, this is a sagittal section, coffin bone, everything cut in half. Look at the frog stay up between the bulbs. Look at this convex sole ridge here, protecting the toe. Look at the shape of the coffin bone. Okay, this is the same. Okay, look at the shape of the coffin bone here. Look at the sole here. Remember, that horse had an inch of sole under its foot here. This is the convex ridge of sole here. Big thick frog. We go down here to this poor mare that died in a BLM roundup. And what do we have? Thin, hardly no sole, deformed coffin bone. Because when you pull all this down, it shoves it up into the navicular bone, okay? And it actually rotates the toe down, and this one here shoved everything forward to where it distorted and deformed the front of the toe. So there you go. See the difference, such a difference in these feet. Well, this is what I want on my horse. And not even if it's wrong, like David Landerville, I believe it even if it's not true. Well, good for you. Not me. If it's not true, I want to know. If I'm doing something wrong, I want to know. If I'm believing something wrong, I want to know. Okay. And of course, here's the x-ray. Okay, now look, that horse looks like it doesn't have heel, right? Look at that, because the frog and the frog skin is all attached to the back of the heel, so you can't see it. Again, how long is the heel really? 2 inches. 2 inches. And the coffin bone is at a positive angle. It is not ground parallel like Jackson promotes, like Strasser promotes. To do that to your horse, you have to trim out the heels, pull the bulb down. You have to force the foot into being something it was never, ever, ever designed to be. Okay, well, this is my mare's foot. And you can see here that at least on this foot.
What? I had to step away for a minute, but all I see on the screen is just several pictures of feet. Did you do a new share to start something?
I did. Have people just been listening to me and not realizing that I was changing pictures and nobody said anything? Has anybody else seen the pictures changing?
No, but I was looking to see what you were pointing at on all these pictures on the screen and I couldn't find it.
Gosh dang. Well, I was going through a ton of different pictures.
There's a ton of pictures on the screen too.
So
Well,
yeah,
I
we're gonna
just didn't know
follow
which one.
the went along with the corium pictures, and then you went to the I don't know. Then it was a little harder to follow after that, but I thought
okay.
you were on the
Well,
bottom of the page.
okay. Well, hey, if you got any inkling or suspicions, stop me. All right? Because I can't tell from what I'm doing here. Okay, I see. No, I was in these pictures here. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, this is, yeah, I was showing all these pictures here.
Oh, those are
Yeah.
cool pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I was trying to show you how, I mean, I really studied these pictures. Like that foot, I took that foot apart, hoof walls and soles almost an inch thick.
Yeah.
And so here you can see the coronary band, there's the frog corium, there's the sole corium, there's the heel buttress corium, there's the hoop wall lamina and the end of the heel right here going down to the bar and sole right here. Here's all the other different parts: top of the frog state, bulb skin, frog skin, central sulcus, frog, apex. And this is one where I was saying, don't be deceived. Just because someone cuts up a foot and takes pictures of it doesn't mean that in truth they understand jack about it. Okay. Because you could do 1,000 dissections, but if your foundational knowledge and the image that has been put in your head is perverse, incorrect, and a lie, then you're not going to see what's right in front of your face. See? So, okay, so this is that foot. I told you the farrier, somebody found a wild horse foot and gave it to him, and he dissected it. He cut it in half. So look here at the frog stay. Look at the hairline is high off the ground here. Thick frog. Look at the sole. My goodness. See, it is convex. And so look here. So Gene Obnick, now he really did do wild horse hoof research. I know, because he's got pictures. Okay. So look at the shape. That's that convex sole ridge there. And see how the way this grows, it nestles the sharp rim of that bone in a sole corium form-fitted rim that keeps it perfectly in shape. And so then, when because farriers are taught this is only concave. Okay, they're taught that the sole looks like this. So, and this goes back to being taught error. And so if your foundational knowledge and understanding is error, then what you see and what you interpret will be wrong. So, oh, what was I doing? Wait a minute. Okay, I was trying to get annotate. Come here. So, I want you to look at this sole here. I wonder what color I've got. Okay, so here's the sole. So he's worn it flat here, but it's a convex rim of sole like that. See? And so farriers are taught that the sole is supposed to be like this, only concave. Just a minute. Let me undo that. Let's see. Clear. Okay, farriers are taught. See, you got this convex ridge here, got this here, and it grow like that there. Well, they're taught to cut that out so that it's like this. See there? They're taught to take all that out. They're taught it's only concave. that that's not supposed to be there, that if that's there, it's going to hurt the toe. It's going to affect the circumflex artery and all this other stuff. And so they wind up weakening the sole by what they're doing. So of course, then you got, it was farriers that started this whole natural hoof care thing by looking at wild horses. All right, two of them, Jamie Jackson, Gene Obenek. And I like Gene Obenek's research better because he has pictures, whereas Jamie Jackson don't. Okay, and so Gene, being a farrier who thinks the foot is concave only, all right, then he comes and he inspects a wild horse's foot like this, and he sees this big thing in the toe like that. Well, he thinks it's a callus, because what is a callus? Callus is a buildup of skin, right? It's not normal. So he sees it, he thinks it's a callus. And that's why all of us that did barefoot, we kept hearing, don't touch the toe callus. You know, well, what happens if you don't touch toe callus? Your toe gets longer and longer and longer and just starts stretching out there. Well, then what do? Then you start rockering that toe to bring it back. That's what you do. All because you don't have an understanding of the true foot of the horse and of the convexity of this sole ridge here, how it grows. Anyway, see, it's interesting when you know what people are taught and you know it's wrong, and then they say stuff, you know why they're saying what they do. You know why they're thinking like they do, because you know what they believe and you know that it's wrong. And so you can read them and you can determine why they said what they said and where they're coming from because of what they've been taught, if that makes any sense. Let's see here. Okay, so, okay, so this farrier, somebody finds his foot and gives it to him. And this is the foot, totally different than Jamie Jackson. But again, it took me a long time to break through and not see that one dead wild horse's foot with no heels. And I kept, right on up to 2014, I kept trying to get that foot on my horse. And my horse, because we live in a wet climate, was having none of it. Anytime I cut the heel down, he'd just make false heel. You know, so I could never get that 30-degree hairline. And plus, he just kept getting more unsound instead of sounder. That's why I gave up in 2014 and left him alone and just let his feet grow. And even though his feet look like crap, because what you don't realize is that when you trim a horse's feet into that foot is truly deformed. And so it grows out deformed. And so that's why they have to keep a tight trim schedule. Otherwise, those mutilated feet grow into something that they shouldn't even look like. So this wild horse here is totally different than Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse foot that wore its heels out and died in a roundup. This is more like that other foot of Pete Ramey's, has more heel though. Of course, the other mare is 3 years old. This could have been an older horse. You know, there can be some variation, but there is no horse on the face of the earth that was ever meant to have a foot like Jamie Jackson promotes. Okay, so again, I was showing this, you know, see, I'm going over this stuff again. So what I say up here, a second. So here you have Pete Ramey's wild horse foot. Look at positive palmar angle. What's Jackson promote? Ground parallel coffin bone, him and Strasser. The only way, what would I have to do to this horse to get that bone to set flat? See, well, I have to trim out the heels. They'd think that was too much heel. Okay, And of course, this would definitely be too much heel, but this was the heel this horse had. They would decimate the feet on these horses to try and force them into their ideal. Now here, look at the frog and the frog stay and the hairline up here. Look at the frog stay and the hairline up here. Look at this foot. The hairline is clear down at the ground. There is no frog. There is no sole. And the coffin bone is deformed. It is deformed. Because when you trim the heels out and it pushes all this anatomy up here, it pushes this joint forward, which then that rotates the coffin bone down. And when the toes stay short like this, then it wears off this part of the coffin bone and deforms it. It is deformed. It is distorted, this bone. I think it's also too short, if you want to know the truth. Looking at this one, look at this one. Look at how nice and long and pointed it is. See there? Okay, now look at this one. Look at how it's kind of bent and worn in a weird way like that, and bent like so, because it was having pressures exerted on it that it was not supposed to have. So what I say here, wild hoof examples, trimming heels to mimic the wild horse foot at the bottom causes multiple hoof diseases, mechanical laminitis, navicular abscesses, canker, mystery lameness. Why is that the foot model? See? And like I said, you know, a lot of times you can't see how much heel these horses really have because they're covered up with frog skin. You know, I don't know how you could claim to examine 1,000 horses and not notice some of this stuff over a 4-year period of time. So let's see here. Move some stuff. Okay. Okay, so here's that foot again. You don't see the heel in this horse, but it's got 2-inch heels. From the hairline to the ground is 2 inches. Okay? I mean, all these pictures prove it. See, even from here to here, that frog stay, from the top of the frog stay to the ground, that's about 2 inches. And here's my mare's feet. This was Gene Ovanek's illustration that generalized his research right here. And I was just comparing it to my horse's foot. But at this time, well, no, at this time, because the horse is dead, I did understand that we were trimming the heels out, but I did not know as yet how much the feet were hoof bound. But see, I would get and compare all this stuff and try and figure it out and understand it. And okay, this is Gene. I was trying to figure out and understand why Cheryl Henderson thought the toe was long on this foot. It was driving me crazy because they kept trimming the toe back and trimming the toe back and trimming the toe back, and the horse was going lame, lame, lame. And the reason is because, okay, if you look up here, they got this thing called the 1/3, 2/3 natural balance to the equine foot that was part of the conclusions that Gene Ovanek came to, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work because when you trim the heels out of these horses, the heels move forward and the distance from here to here gets shorter. Then it makes your toe look long. So then you think you got to take the toe back. That's what happens. That's why I was drawing all of this here to show that, how that the foot from here to here shortens up and it makes the toe look long. There's nothing wrong with the toe a lot of times. It's just that the distance from here to here has gotten shorter. And so when you measure that in half, see, this is how they do it. They measure from here to the apex of the frog, they divide it in half, then they take that distance from here up to here to determine the breakover. Well, if this from here to here is getting shorter the whole time because you are trimming the heels out of your horse and it's reducing the size of the hoof capsule from the back, then this measurement gets shorter. And so you come out one day and you go, gee, my toe is long. No, your toe wasn't long. Your heels have been being trimmed out and they are gradually moving forward and the capsule is getting smaller. So there we go. 2 inches. Okay, this is at the top of the frog stay to the ground. In here, 2 inches. I mean, that's a pretty good way to figure it. And so here's the other wild foot. And here to show you how we have experts teaching us that don't know what they're doing. Look how this is Pete Ramey's drawing. Okay. And I don't even want to blame him because he is a victim, as we all are. And even Jamie Jackson, in a sense, is a victim in that he became a farrier and come to find out there was so much error already in farriery and so many horses having foot problems that people were looking for answers. So Pete Ramey posts this on his page. And look, you can see the convex ridge of sole around the corium, right? Okay, but he don't see that because he's been taught that the foot is only concave. And so then he draws what he thinks is the cartilage, and he draws what he thinks is the coffin bone. And what does he do in this foot? He draws it ground parallel. But the coffin bone is not ground parallel. The coffin bone is at a positive angle, and the cartilage, all of this is the cartilage up here. Up here. See, he doesn't even know where the cartilage is. And so I didn't either. And so when I read this and I watch this, I'm thinking the same thing. Okay, that's where it is. But over time, I learned that all of this here is the collateral cartilage or lateral cartilage or ungual cartilage or whatever you want to call it, all of it. See, and so he could have just followed the outline of the foot there, really, in here. But see, this is the state of hoof care, that people in truth do not know what they're doing. They do not know what they're looking at. And some wild feet from somewhere, maybe Nevada. Just because a horse has a foot like this, looks like this, don't mean you want your frog looking like that. See? This is not a wild foot that I would call ideal or that I would want on my horse, because tact is not about wild feet. Tact is about anatomically correct feet, and the feet of wild horses can give us a clue in that direction. So just not sure what that was. Okay, so here we see it again. That's 2 different feet. And look, I told you that coffin bone was deformed. Look at it. See, it's about half the size it should be. Look at, see, perfectly formed. These toes wear off more than you think. This, what we're seeing here is a perfect coffin bone. That one isn't. That one's worn off. Now, here, look. This is the heel buttress right here. Okay, 1 inch, 1 inch, say 2 inches. And comparing it over here with this foot. And again, what do we got here? You got Pete Ramey, who is taught by Jamie Jackson, who has these feet but has no idea what he's got. Okay, because he's still trying to force Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse foot that wore its heels out on horses. He told David Landerville, burn that foot into your brain. So David Landerville did. And so everything David Landerville does and has done is to try and accomplish building that one dead wild horse foot that wore its heels out. He does not know that he has been deceived and deluded into believing a deformed foot is the true foot of the horse. I didn't know it either for how long? From 2005 to 2000, well, actually 2016. When I was going through the hoof wall, every single part, and I was, okay, you got this part, you got the coronary band groove, and then you got your hoof wall that goes down to here, then you got the part that connects with the sole, and then you got the part that grows out past the sole, and that's in the toe, and then you got this in the pillar, and then over here in the quarter, and I got back to here, and I went, and you got, oh, what's that? That is a heel buttress right here, right there. I got back there and I went, what's that? And my eyes were opened for the first time. And I started to realize, oh my God, we've been taught to trim the heel buttress completely out of our horses. But it took, but see, I was blinded. And I kept trying to get that one dead wild horse foot on my horse. I mean, I'm surprised he's still alive. Okay. Because I did the same thing to my pony, and I trimmed her into full-fledged mechanical laminitis, because you can trim a horse into most of the laminitis is because of this. Not Jamie Jackson's trim, but trimming down the heels for frog pressure that all the farriers do. Most laminitis is mechanical, trimming induced mechanical laminitis, because you are reducing the size of that hoof capsule and compressing the foot into a smaller capsule. And then when things go haywire and they erupt and the leverages get a hold of them, well, the horse's foot is coming out of the capsule, separating out of the lamina, and that's laminitis. And it's all mechanical, most of it, I would say, because I'll tell you right now, every web page that I've been to and group where they're talking about how to help their horses with laminitis, and I look at the feet, they have the heels totally trimmed out of them. Okay, it's gonna freeze on me again, so hold on. So this is that foot. This is just a better picture of that foot turned on its side there. I turned it over because, see, that foot got carted all over the country, and multiple pictures taken of it, and it's shoved in everybody's face as the ideal foot. Oh. So this is the front foot on that one same horse, and I'm comparing it to Gene Ovenick's research. So this is Pete Ramey's foot, and that's the back foot on that horse. Look at the frog, how the frog sticks out the back. Look how there's no cleavage in these feet. Because remember, when you trim the heels out, what does this part of the foot do? It literally curls in. Now look at this. Does that foot look concave to you? Anybody? Do you see massive concavity there like they're all looking for?
Nope.
No, because the foot has not got the heels trimmed out, so it's not bent in the center. That's why, like with David Landerville, trimming the heels out, pulling the bulbs down and in like that is bending the foot and creating a false concavity. Look, that sure don't look concave. There's that foot again. And some wild foot somewhere somebody found, but you know what? Look at this. The heels on this foot have been worn down. And look at how the bulbs have been, look at the cleavage between the bulbs. See how it comes in like that? I don't want that foot on my horse. Okay, but they are deceived and deluded into thinking that just because it's a wild foot, okay, that it's a good foot. It's anatomically correct. It's not. It has worn its heels down. It's probably from Nevada, and it's pulled the back of its foot down. And true wild horse, true anatomically correct feet do not have bulb cleavage. They are full. They are full in the back. There is no indentation. This is not a good foot. Yeah, not a foot I would want on my horse. Now this horse probably got around good, but if you go look at Ova Lind, who had the Swedish Hoof School, and you get on YouTube and you look up desert thrush, he came over here. I don't know if he's in Switzerland or Sweden, where he was. He come over here to research and see wild horses. And so he was out there in Nevada with a bunch of wild horses, taking pictures of them. I swear, he walks right up to one, picks up his foot, and takes a snapshot of it. And of course, when the camera clicked, the horse jumped away, you know, but see, they were never meant to be wild, people. Okay? All these horses that are out there wild, they were all domestic horses. If they were meant to be wild, they would never have domesticated like they do. You take a wild horse and you put some of that natural liberty training on them, they become your best buddy. See, horses and people have an affinity together. Horses, oh my goodness sakes. Horses, our relationship with horses is it's even more than with dogs when you think about it. What horses have done for us. I'd say we'd put horses and dogs right par and par, but horses, oh my goodness, what they have done for mankind. See? Yeah, I don't want a foot like that on my horse. You know, first of all, he's got contracted bulbs. A frog like this, you know, okay, so dried and cracked, and it can crack right up into the corium and make them sore. Yeah, this computer keeps freezing up on me. Anyway. See that little, what do you call that? Hourglass? The hourglass. It's probably because it's Santa. I'm working on it for you. I need to get rid of some pictures or something. And look at the dry periopal. You know, I mean, yeah, I don't want a foot like that. See, just because a wild horse wore its foot like that, doesn't mean you want to put that on your horse. Okay? Yeah, look, bulbs on the ground. Of course, they'd prefer it if the hairline was totally on the ground and the bulbs were pulled clear underneath the foot. Then that'd be the ideal natural foot. Yeah, I don't want that foot. No thanks. You can have it. I'll take this foot right here. This is off dead mare up on a reservation in Washington. Now, this here, you could see she had full, it's kind of dried up now, but she would have had a full frog. I mean, all of her cartilage and everything is dried up, so it's sucked up. But she would have had a big, fat, full foot in the back. It would have been wonderful. This was her rear foot right here. That's the other rear foot. I don't know whose foot that is. Okay, well, anyway, just showing these feet again and the differences in them. See, this wild horse, Mustang hoof, Western United States, probably wasn't a Mustang. It's just a domestic, from domestic stock. Okay, here's the front foot on that horse that you never see. Okay, you never see this foot. I wonder why it says preparing live stream. Well, it might have goofed up. YouTube, we may not have our YouTube. Who knows? Anyway, you look at this foot. Let me turn it around. Okay, this is the foot they don't show you. This was the front foot. Notice the heel. Notice the bulb isn't on the ground like on the back foot. Notice the heel. It's got about a 2-inch heel, but they're way underrun. Look at the horn tubules. How these horn tubules are going clear to the toe. Okay, this is the foot they won't show you. It's in the book. It's in the book, but they won't show it to you because, okay. Yeah, save it. And let me turn this. We're going to go back to that other foot. The one they want you to think is the one you need to be putting on your horse. I shouldn't have done that. Now we've got that hourglass thing again. Okay, but here we get to see the Mustang roll. But do you see those heels on that horse? Anybody but me? You see the heel? Now we're going to go look at that other horse. Or the rear foot on this horse has become the barefoot center fold for what you should force your horse's feet into. That stupid thing. There it is. Okay. Do you see much of a heel there? Not hardly, not barely, not at all. Okay, look at the hairline clear down here. This is a rear foot. Again, this is the foot. Does it say that it's a rear foot? No, it doesn't, does it? See how they're deceiving people almost on purpose. Otherwise, why would you do stuff like this? Why would you always be using this foot for the model when it's a rear foot, when the front foot of the same horse looks like that? Can anybody answer that question? Wouldn't you say, well, okay, front feet should look like this and you should have these big underrun heels? Have you ever noticed how people have been brainwashed into barefootism, just have this thing about underrun heels. Oh my God, my heels are underrun. Oh, we got to take those heels back. Oh my goodness, right? So that's the front foot on that horse. And that's the rear foot on that horse. And this is what they want you to force your horse's foot into. Do you know how many horses have been put down from this? You know how much money people have spent? You know how much pain and suffering that this baloney has cost people and horses? Okay, here's the good wild foot. That was a rear. I think that's the rear foot. Okay, this is that mare that died in Washington, wild horse. Okay, now the foot is dried up a little. But it was these were excellent feet. Okay, there's Pete Ramey's foot again. Here's an example. Again, this is Pete Ramey's foot. There's an x-ray of Pete Ramey's foot. Here's x-rays of horses that people have tried to put that foot on, and of course it's trimmed them into mechanical laminitis, deforming their coffin bones, and domestic heels trimmed out, cartilage pulled down. Let's see what I have here. Inferior specimen, probably died because its feet wore out and deformed. This is what most barefoot trims try and shape the foot into and wind up trimming out the heels and causing this type of stuff here. Now, when did I make this? I made up this illustration in March 9th of 2018. And here we have, again, all wild horse feet are created equal when born, but then deform and distort over time, depending on the terrain and lifestyle. Therefore, we must choose the correct form as our model. And we would want this form here more than this form here. But also, it's really not about choosing a wild horse model. We can just learn from the wild horses in certain terrains that have the best feet. And the anatomy really tells us what is demanded. I mean, they got, let's see here. Okay, so on the inside of this foot, okay, they got this coronary band. Okay, so this thing right here is there for a reason, right? The whole structure, the whole thing is there for a reason. If you know anything about building and stuff. And so we know that this is growing, this heel buttress right here. See, that's anatomy. And I can find that on domestic horses, and I can find where this piece here is wrapped around inside the foot, and so they're not growing the real heel buttress anymore. See, it's not just about wild horse feet, but because humans have not touched them in the right conditions, in the right terrain with moisture and everything like that, we can find the most amazing, astounding, anatomically correct feet. See? And once in a while, you'll find one in domesticity as well. Just a minute here. Okay, this thing here, would not that nubbin there that grows that heel buttress, that thing's wrapped around his foot. This is more sidewall right here. It's gone. His that's wrapped around. He ain't growing no real heel buttress there on that foot because he wore down. So obviously I can take a rasp and mimic that wear. You know, I could force a horse's foot into that. And if it's dry, if I'm in a dry climate, I can make it stick. But if I'm in a wet climate, they want to keep the cartilage and the periopal keep giving way and the foot keeps raising back up. Let's see. Okay, so here's an example of a gal. And she didn't go to Jamie Jackson, but she got an evaluation from him. It cost her $300, okay, for him to tell her that her foot was doing just fine. Of course, the horse wasn't sound, right? So $300 for him to look at this and tell her it was okay. And if you go watch that interview on YouTube of him with that gal, he says that when he come out of wild horse country, that he was going to change his whole life. And he told all his clients he would no longer be shoeing, that he was going to do a wild horse trim. Well, he changed it to natural trim because people freaked. And so he was going to be doing a natural trim. And he tells that gal, and you know what I charged. See, he's really proud of the fact that he come out and he decided he was going to charge exorbitant prices for him to touch a horse. And he says that on there. I'm not dissing him. I'm telling you what he said. And he charged this gal $300 for an evaluation. Either email, over the phone, something like that. I can't remember. She didn't go there. So this horse was unsound. Well, guess what? She starts growing the heels to where it kind of looked more like this foot. And guess what? Horse went sound. How about that? You know, is that my fault? No. Okay, so here we have, look, this is stuff on the internet. This foot is on every single barefooter, wannabe guru, trimmer, everything else. It's on all their pages. All these people that have these hoof schools and all this kind of stuff, this foot is on their page. This is the foot that's been put in their brain. This is the foot they're trying to trim every horse into. Just like I did, okay? For how many years? Because I was indoctrinated with error. Okay, so let's read this. It says, even here, we'll enlarge it. Even though we're not even on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, because it says preparing to live stream up here at my screen, but oh well. That way I won't get a copyright infringement.
Linda,
Whatever.
it says YouTube up on the corner of my screen.
Does it?
It says YouTube.
Huh. I wonder if I'm still on YouTube. I don't know. I can't tell. Anyway, we're going to read this. So I found this on the internet somewhere. When did I put this here? Just a minute. Let's see here. Okay, so this particular one I put here same time, 3/27/2018. Okay, so it says, even though natural hoof care practitioners, I like calling people practitioner, makes them sound like a doctor, doesn't it? even though natural hoof care practitioners agree that each hoof is distinctly different. See, let me tell you that this is complete and utter bull crap that's going to be said here. Okay? So it says, even though natural hoof care practitioners agree that every hoof is distinctly different, they agree on one model which they perceive as being naturally perfect. This one right here. This is our model. This is the hoof which each horse was born to wear, and which is the goal that we gradually work towards. The more I work towards this goal, the more healthy and effective they become. And you know what? If a horse's feet are bad to begin with, they can seem to go that way. But and if you're in a dry climate and the foot holds together, oh sure, it can seem that way, but they're going to be paying the piper down the road. Okay, because that is not their anatomy. Okay, so this is Dr. Rick Redden regarding Jamie Jackson. This is what Jamie Jackson said. We will make this model to be the industry standard. And it is. This is the model that has been put in the heads of people that is torturing, maiming, laming, and making horses suffer and die. Okay. Because once you trim your horse into mechanical laminitis, and then if you don't get it fixed, you are headed towards death door a lot of times. So it says, we will make this model to be the industry standard from this natural hoof, perfectly adapted through rough living conditions in deserts, dry valleys, and mountains of the Great Basin. Should be derived the knowledge of how a hoof is built and functions, and thus what the natural trim should look like. 1 foot, people. The concept of hoof mechanism and blood circulation and a ground parallel coffin bone. I just showed you a foot on Pete Ramey's page who believes this hook, line, and sinker because he's been brainwashed and indoctrinated with this garbage too. That shows you that that foot did not have a ground parallel coffin bone, but he won't see it. And when I looked at it for the first 7-8 years, I did not see it either, because I was indoctrinated with a lie. Because every horse does not have to have a ground parallel coffin bone, and every horse does not have to have a foot that looks like this, and every wild horse does not have feet like this. It is a lie. It is a falsehood, and it hurt my horses. So no wonder he puts a disclaimer in his book. Not responsible for any problems you got, lady. It says natural hoof care essentially functions as a criteria against any kind of horseshoeing and the so-called pasture trim. Marjorie Smith, as quoted after WW something W by first. So Marjorie Smith, who developed this deal called the hoof guided method, she saw, before she died, she passed away, that trimming these heels down like this was not working, and she stopped doing it, just so people know. Okay, so anyway, something by Ferris. But those principles are indifference to the method of Dr. Strasser, not essential to the practical instructions of how to trim a hoof. The one and only criteria for trimming is the hoof shape of a wild horse. What shape? That shape. That shape. The hoof shape of this one wild horse that died in a BLM roundup, the rear foot. Well, what about the front foot? What about those other ones that are actually on Pete Ramey's page, who is a follower of Jamie Jackson, who told David Landerville, burn that foot into your brain? What about that? Where are we at here? The correct look. Yeah, let me read this again. The one and only criteria for trimming is the hoof shape of a wild horse. The correct look, or more precisely, the structure of a naturally formed hoof, is a direct result of the wild horse model. And what is the wild horse model? This one rear foot. Natural hoof care practitioners simulate the wear on a wild hoof, which in return stimulates the natural growing patterns of the hoof. Basically, you're trimming out the heels, and you're doing everything you can to force the feet to look like this. These patterns create the naturally shaped hoof, which is never forced upon the horse because it is developed in accordance with the individual appearance and disposition. See, you see that that's baloney? Not forced upon the horse? Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, you're purposely trimming in a manner that will force this foot to look like this. You see how he contradicts himself? You know, oh, the correct look. Oh, the one and only criteria for trimming is a hoof shape of a wild horse. The correct look. That's this foot right here. And then he tries to tell you some big bunch of crap that, oh, well, that's not really what you're doing. NHC practitioners treat each hoof within the limitations of the individual appearance and stimulate the natural abrasion, meaning you rasp down those hooves, those heels, and the toe, and whatever else you need to make that foot conform to this image, which can be observed in wild horse country. Yeah, baloney. All right, because now at the time when he did his research in 1982 to 86, there were no pictures of wild horse feet. Now we got all kinds of wild horse advocate groups on Facebook, and I have collected hundreds of pictures of their feet, and they're not like this. They're not like this. You might get one or two seem to resemble that, but that's about it. They are more like the other ones that Pete Ramey had, and you have to keep remembering. Pete Ramey, who follows Jamie Jackson, has two of the only dissected wild horse feet, other than that one guy, on the internet, and yet because this image, what he's saying himself, telling somebody else, burn that in your brain, he burned it into his own brain, so that when he got those two wild horse feet, he couldn't even see what he had. He does not see it because he's been indoctrinated with error. He's been indoctrinated with this garbage right here. This way it's supposed to be shaped. How do I know? Because I was indoctrinated, and I did the same thing to my horse for a good 8 years. something like that. So it is the natural hoof care practitioner's job to find out what keeps the domesticated hoof from becoming a successful hoof like this one. What's keeping my foot from looking like that? Oh, well, maybe I need to rocker the heels. See? Maybe it's just going to take longer. Maybe my horse is going to have to suffer for 7 years. See? That's what they're doing, making these horses suffer for years, as you all know. Hold on a second. So it is the natural hoof care practitioner's job to find out what keeps the domesticated hoof from becoming a successful hoof like the wild model, this one right here. Furthermore, it is the goal. This is the crap they teach people. No, I don't say they. This is a crap Jamie Jackson teaches people. See? Furthermore, it is the goal to imitate the abrasion of the rough substrate and thus produce a high performance barefoot on a domestic horse. Well, I never had a high performance foot on my horse, and it looked very similar to this when I gave up. All of you never had a high performance barefoot. Many people don't have a high performance barefoot. Their horses never go through transition. More horses than ever are in boots. Boots is not barefoot, people. So this is quoted after the guiding principles of the Double American Association for National Hoof Care Practitioners. Founded, anyway, he founded that. Says, leave that which should be there naturally. Take away that which should be worn away naturally in the wild. So you would line your horse's foot up to that and just start trimming away to try and make your horse's foot look like that. And that's why your horse is miserable and lame and all that. Now here's the same foot cut in half. Again, no frog stay, hairline down at the ground, thin sole, deformed, distorted coffin bone. If you try and force this foot here, this is your horse's true foot. This is what his internal foot calls for. But you try and force this rear foot on it, then this is how much of the foot that you're going to have to trim out of it. Okay? And so that's going to force the foot down, force the bulbs here down to the ground. Well, what about this frog? You're going to change it so that you have this much frog instead of this much? Are you kidding me? Okay, what'd you do there? My thing is telling me I don't want to do it anymore. Just because I see something that looks like this and that horse is out there running around a bunch of rocks doesn't mean I want that on my horse. Okay? Look at this guy. This is in I may not want this either, but this is in Utah. So this here was the foot of an adopted wild horse that they were trimming the heels out, and he was making his own heels. And look, he's already deforming the toe of his coffin bone. This is the foot, again, of a wild horse that they're trimming the heels out of, but he makes heels, so he keeps raising his foot up. And look how he's raising the palmar angle of his coffin bone as well. This is an x-ray of this foot here. Look, positive angle doesn't have a ground parallel coffin bone. The only way you get a ground parallel coffin bone is that one dead wild rear foot of that wild horse. Here's the beauty, all in its various angles of glory. Okay? Yeah, this is the foot they want us to put on our horse. Remember, I told you, you get a false concavity because you're pulling the back of the foot down, which is pushing the heel up and bending the foot in the center. So you have a false concavity. And oh, look, we got bulb cleavage. You don't want bulb cleavage. I got a picture of a wild mare. Let me go find that picture. You don't want bulb cleavage. This guy had a lot of bulb cleavage because the frog stay was stripped out from between the bulbs, and the bulbs were pulled into the foot this way, and these were false heels. Just a minute here. Wonder what I did with that picture. I recently took a picture of a dead wild mare. Her foot was so full back here. Full. You do not want cleavage in the bulbs. Now, here's the front foot. Why didn't they keep that as the model? Do you see how dishonest it is? If this is what the feet are supposed to look like, why not use this one? Oh, because somebody might notice that it has heels and they're underrun. You know, the barefoot phobia, underrun heels. Okay, so here's the front foot of the same horse, and here's the rear foot. But this one has no heels. Again, look at the cleavage in the bulbs. They don't have a good foot, has no cleavage at all. Okay, here's the front foot. She had, you can see her heel there. She had those underrun heels. Okay, but look, underrun, what's that do? Bends the foot. See how it sucks the frog up into the foot? Oh, but again, here, this is our model. This is what he wants you trimming your horse's feet into. Yeah, this foot's all over the place as the ideal foot. See there? That's the one I printed and put in my notebook. When I do this. Oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. Ah. Now I'm going to be frozen. Loading. My computer's working slow. Now, are you getting what's been done to people here? That people have been indoctrinated with a lie? Now, maybe he didn't mean to lie, but he sure did a lot of devious crap. First of all, how is it that it's the rear foot and not a front foot that we're all supposed to look at? See? Why is it? What's his obsession with that one rear foot? Well, I'm telling you, you hurt me. You hurt my horses by your theory that is not true. So when did I do? Oh, 2017, I found that. Somewhere around there. Okay, well, anyway. So now you know why your horses were all lame. Through those barefoot trims. Because they were never, ever, 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 ever meant to have that foot forced onto them. Okay. Well, that's all I got for today. Woman on a rant. Yeah, the whole world's been deluded and deceived and layman, maiming, mutilating horses. Have you ever seen these horses, how unhappy they look? I got some piece of work up there, and this happened a few years ago, up there in Canada. Okay, because I called my channel the Happy Hoof for years and years and years, right? So I got some good piece of work up there in Canada that decided to call themselves the Happy Hoof Inc. And they are taking all these horses with these big, good feet and trimming, I mean, decimating the heels on these horses. And when you look at the horses, they're big horses, and now they got these little tiny feet, and they look miserable. You can see the pain in horses' faces when people are putting these trims on them, you know. We have a problem, and it's a big problem that's going on. And hopefully, I get to know more and more how to put this together in a simple way so that I can put something together to fully and wholly and totally expose this horrible thing, this horrible situation. How one man, of course, farriery and the veterinary profession, everything was screwed up to begin with in a big way. But all barefoot trimming did, natural hoof care, which is not natural, all that did was cement it in and make it worse. Worse. It is the worst thing to happen to the horse other than war and slaughter. Those are the two worst things to happen to horses. And this is, I don't know, I think it might top it because it has become now so systemically ingrained in the horse world that it's going to take a major deal to turn it around, All right. So anyway, that's kind of what I didn't know what I was going to share today, but that just kind of come out. And it probably kind of come out because it's really on my heart a lot since I really, really, really started seeing just how, oh God, I don't even know if there's a word for it. The deception, how the whole world is deceived into thinking this is natural hoof care, and it's not. It's not natural at all. It's not natural to force a foot onto a horse that they were never meant to have. See? So anyway, okay, well, I'm going to end on that stuff. Is there anybody that's still here that would like to talk about their horse or their horse's feet? I'm sorry that I took so long getting on my soapbox and talking about how this stuff, for sure, it's vexing. But if anybody has anything they'd like to talk about, I will open the floor now. If not, we can all go have a happy week. None of the six of us, huh? Probably put everybody to sleep. Maria, are you
Hey,
still
Linda.
awake? Hey,
Yeah.
dear.
It's,
Hi,
it's
Roberta.
it's hey, I have a question.
Okay.
When you're going, yeah, when you are coming
Okay, sorry.
around to when you're cleaning out the seed of the corn and the bar,
Uh-huh.
and you say to come around and detach the bar from the wall. Do you only do that when you have heel height?
When you have what?
heel
Yeah,
height.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What you're doing is you're just really wanting to grow in some heel before you start releasing very much or anything like that.
Mhm.
That's a
Like
first order of business is get height to the back of the foot.
like
Otherwise,
do you need the 2 inches or an inch and 3/4 or
well, it's it, it's more like you're really needing to add some capsule in there
okay.
and enlarge that capsule some
Okay.
before you do that. Because the only reason you may have 2 inches, but you may have no heel buttress at all.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, because you could still just have sidewall as heel. And so you're growing heel and you're weighting the back of the foot so that the growth is encouraged to stay at the top as it
Mhm.
grows down. Instead, it stays at the top and it raises the hairline and it adds wall into the capsule. So you're not just like growing heel down from the back to where it's lifting up the back of the foot. You're literally adding wall into the capsule as you go.
Okay.
Now we have some pictures of your horse's feet, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so why don't we look at that? And I'm gonna tell you how close you are, where you're at there with how much
Mhm.
wall needs to be added into the capsule. Okay,
Okay.
and they're a messenger, right?
The latest ones are the Facebook page.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Let's see here.
Probably a week ago.
Okay, did you get my message?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, I
okay,
did.
okay. Well,
You're
thank you
very
very much.
welcome. You're very welcome.
Let's see here. It's taking a second. My computer is
That's okay.
slow. Okay. No, it's not. You're a liar. Was Sam my path incorrect? No, it's not. Oh, let's see here. Okay. Go to the research page. So it's really weird. So got this one group I started a long time ago, but never did anything with. And it's the dissection and photo page. Okay. That group has been growing at 800 to 1,000 people a week.
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean,
That's
my
great.
my posts still never go anywhere. It's bigger than the research group that's been there for a long time. My posts never really go anywhere, but lots of people are joining. So I just thought it was kind of funny. I thought, okay, I know what happened on Facebook. Uh, what happened was they meant to hit ghost them, and instead they had promote them. That's what happened. Somebody hit the wrong button, you know. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm on the research and trimming group, and let's see. Man, there's all kinds of new ones in here.
Mm-hmm.
You must be down here a ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think I missed your post.
That I was trimming tonight as well while you were doing your class,
Okay.
and there are better changes, but I'm not sure what to do with where that quarter heel broke out, or bar
Okay.
slash heel.
Okay. Now, do I need to go to the research and trimming group or to the health group?
The research, your group, the research trimming group.
Okay.
I found it on the research group, Linda, research
Oh,
and trimming.
Oh, you did? Okay.
July
think
9th, I
we
think,
might-
Roberta?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
what would she say?
Oh,
Was
yeah,
it the
July 9th.
July 9th?
Yeah,
Okay. I'll just need to go
Okay.
down a ways.
I think it's Marilyn is the latest. Marilyn posted after me, so if you see her, I'm like before
Okay.
her
Oh.
on her latest post.
I just plugged you into the search bar and found you instantly.
Oh, well, I'll just do that. Duh. Let's see. Okay. Yep, July 9th. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. Let me share. I think I looked at these in the last Hoof chat, didn't I?
I
Let's
think
see.
you did.
I'm lost. Oh, there we go.
Or was it the time before? I'm not really sure.
I can't remember either.
I can't either.
Okay. Okay, now you've trimmed up the feet since this picture though, right?
Let's see it. Oh, that was the first post.
Oh, okay, because it says July 9th. You had
Yeah, there's another one where I have lines on the hoof wall.
okay.
That's the latest. And my mapping marks are on the sole.
Okay. This one right here. New share. Because there's only one picture here. Now, yeah, so I think I got to go back to the other one. I just need to keep going till I get to the ones where you marked up.
Yeah, because that's the very first time I posted.
Well, for some reason, I'm not getting the ones you're talking about.
Weird. There you go. Nope,
No.
that's not it.
What about that one?
Nope. Yeah, I had sanded my lines off on the sole. So that was the first time I had posted.
Okay.
But
Now,
you could probably still see that bar that I'm talking about on that sole view with these
right
pics.
here.
It would be let's see. Probably need to
Yep.
scoot that picture over.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
See on the left side?
The left side here.
Yes. Yep.
That looks weird.
It is weird. It broke out. So
Okay. Well, that's good. I seen where it broke out. Too bad this one didn't break out. Because this one here, you need to bring this. Let me draw on it here. Yeah, that's kind of good the way that broke out because I was looking at it. Let's go back. I want to look at that again from the side. Wait a minute. Stop here.
I think that's what Dolly's is going to look like when it breaks.
That's right here, huh?
yes.
Yeah. See, that's actually good that broke out like that. Okay. Now, if some of this would just break out, that'd be good too. Like right about there, if that'd just kind of break out like that, or you could just kind of come in here and take some of that out. Because
Notch it.
notch it, but you're going to have to come and draw on it and then notch it out. Like you would draw, you would follow a horn tubule up like that, and then like follow this piece down here, like so. And you could also bring this toe back somewhat as well. But what I like here is what this toe is doing. Because of the leverage on the toe, the back of the foot is pulling up this way. And so you do have hoof wall growing in back here. Pretty soon on this side, you will have a pretty good almost 2-inch heel. See? And so I would kind of notch this like so. Let's go back to the sole picture again. Huh. That is really interesting. That broke out clear back here and notched it like that. I would, but what do you want to do with this bar?
We'll see. I'm trimming the bar right now, just a little bit by little.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do, honestly.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can trim some of this back right in here.
Do I take that out?
Yeah, you could smooth this out right here that I marked. But then the one you need to get over here is this one. Okay. You need to, first of all, probably take this heel down a bit, right about to there. And just take all of this down. Okay. I mean, your heel, from what I've seen, is about, what is that? I just got something here. Wait a minute.
My x-ray pictures are also with that.
Okay.
Poster looking for.
So I think that you can put another notch up here that you can take some of this off here.
Linda, I found her other post she's talking about. It's from 5 days ago.
Okay.
Okay,
see.
From that, if you pull up the picture she found on that trim,
okay.
I took off 3/8 of an inch.
Okay.
Because her dorsal wall was 4 3/8, and I went to 4.
Okay, I'm going to take a picture of this. Just a second here. Okay, just a second.
She'll probably feel a lot better when I take that heel down because she's so
lopsided,
uneven.
Yeah.
Yes. You can tell with her hoof capsule as well.
Just a second here. Just a second. Okay, so I'm gonna go find the other picture.
And her x-rays are the ones that are going to show up, not the pictures of the foot. The pictures are further down from the x-rays.
Okay.
Well, I put all that on one shot. I don't know why they're separated. It's weird.
Just a minute here. Okay, so they're here somewhere?
If you go back to the beginning of the page and then come down 5 days, you'll find her. I'm not sure where you're at. you look
Okay.
further down, then the pictures are going to be.
Yeah, go towards the
Go
beginning of
towards,
toes.
yeah, it's the top of the page.
Mhm.
See, you're in November of
Oh,
22nd.
okay.
22.
I think I need to go to the regular page here for a second.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So what day is it on?
It's 5 days ago.
Okay. So, oh.
No, you went.
Oh, I'm in the wrong page. Just a minute. Okay. 5 days ago. Well, that looks interesting, whatever that is. Three days ago. 3 days ago. 3 days ago.
Be quicker to type in Roberta Rawlinson on the top of that page,
Well,
Linda.
I did, but
Yeah,
then it didn't
but
give it to me.
she's almost there.
Okay, 5 days ago. Okay, here we go.
That's it.
I wonder
There it
why
is.
that, see, that didn't show up. Okay, now this is a pretty neat picture. Some of these x-ray machines are better than others, I'll tell you. Um,
And I don't
So-
know how to read x-rays though.
so because this really shows some good stuff. So because the back of the foot here is pulled down around like this, pushing the coffin bone up here.
Linda, we can't see what you're doing.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. What's interesting here is you can see the horn tubule lines, you know? So, okay, so we're going to release the back of this foot, which is going to relax this coffin bone because it's got too high of a palmar angle. Now, but the toe is not real damaged or anything like that. But so the object here is to grow in heel and release the back of the foot more so that it will get the pressure of the anatomy that was here that was shoved up into there. And off of that so that it will relax then and raising the foot, and then we'll be able to get more pressure off the toe. Yeah. So let me go to this other deal here. So you can bring this toe back some, but you want to work on getting all the horn tubules to come back here, because the toe really is going to come back until we work on that. So growing these heels in more, kind of. Now you see how the back of this, how steep the coffin bone here is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's because the back of the foot is shoving all that anatomy up into this bone here, which is pushing it forward, which is rotating this down. And while the one thing we always got to remember is that we're dealing with two different objects: a hoof capsule, which is temporary, and the foot, which is permanent. And so that hoof capsule can be disaligned with the inner foot to where they're pulling against each other. And that's what you have here. The back of this foot pulled down and shoved into the back of the coffin joint here, pushing it forward. Well, since this coffin bone is attached to the short pastern bone here, it makes it rotate. It swings it down. It pushes this forward, pushes that down onto the sole. You see how thin the sole is right there?
I do.
But the hoof capsule, it forces it forward and up, what it forces the foot toe down and back. So they're pulling in the opposite directions of one another. And so the object isn't, you can't just shorten the toe. You're in the process now of releasing the back of the foot. As you release the back of the foot, it's going to take the pressure of all that anatomy pushing off onto that joint, and then the foot will relax and the capsule will become more in alignment. But you are going to have to work on some of these horn tubules, getting them to release where they pushed and forced themselves forward. See, like these like look at your pillars here, how high they are.
Yeah.
This shape, you know, I mean, they're supposed to be relaxed down like that. So over time, this wall grew forward, and then it started pushing back up and pushing the hairline up there.
So does that mean I file to sole level?
Are you at sole level now?
No. Well, that trim there I did.
Okay, because that looks pretty good. Now, are you keeping her in boots at all, or just
When
just
she's
bare?
not taking them off.
Does she take them off?
Yes.
That's funny.
She does not like anything on her feet.
Now, let's see.
I do casts. I do the boots, and they may last 2 days, no more than 3.
Okay, so I think you could put a notch right here. But what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to mark it on the outside. Okay, so you just come up right here and right here.
Can't see it,
Like
Linda.
that.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Where am I at? Huh. Just a second. Okay. I don't know what happened to it now. Second. Annotate. Do it again. Okay, so you could come up right here and right there. Just kind of like that. But how you do a notch is you find like, well, let me undo that. Okay, so you see the growth rings go this way, horizontal, and then you have the horn tubules that go that way. And so you could come up here and just do a notch like that. See? And then just kind of just take your toe back a little more, about like so, to start with. Okay. And then let that go for a little while. That's going to help everything pull up. You can put a little more of a bevel in here. And then, yeah, and just kind of take some of this back just a little bit. And then after that's kind of settled in, okay, then we'll see what goes on with the front of this. You might find that you can put another notch here. See? And eventually all these horn tubules here will back up so that the toe can be backed up properly and stuff. Because if you were to just take all the leverage off the toe, with as thin as the sole is and everything, I don't know if that'd be really a good thing. But I would take off some of this toe, just take some of it back there.
Okay.
And then try this notch. But when you're doing these notches, you come up and you find a growth ring like right there, and you just go like that. See? Like
Okay.
on the other side where she did it herself,
Mm-hmm.
she went clear up to here,
She did.
did it, which was kind of cool.
Okay.
That way it's not just everything's released all at once and then they get sore, because everything's having to move. This way it's like a chunk at a time. And they seem to, they're doing it to their self, Let's see here. Yeah, because I mean, there'd have been a time where I just come in there and really back that toe up, Every time I ever did that, they all got really sore. So, and if you back up this toe, but these horn tubules here are steer clear up here, well, then your dorsal wall, okay, that's flared forward here, okay, it can't move back and really, really stand up because you still got this horn tubule. It's right here. That's supposed to be here. So we're kind of backing it up from the back here, and that's the way they self-trim as well to fix their own feet. Of course, now this is my version of sacred geometry. I'm being sarcastic. And the reason I'm being sarcastic is because there's a bunch of these people. Now, if you want to be into sacred geometry or whatever you want to call it, that's fine. But it's not anatomy. It was meant to be applied primarily to religious structures and stuff. So what they're doing is they're coming up with nicer scribble pictures than what I got here, full of Masonic symbols and triangles. And they're applying it to the bottom of the foot and thinking that, hey, this is how we'll trim, Well, I know people that have done that and wound up coming up with methods that just wind up hurting horses. Oh, but because now, it's part of their sacred geometry, it's got to be right. Well, no, we're trying to do this according to just structure, just structural principles of how this foot is put together. Let's see here. I mean, of course, that looks pretty funky what I got going there. I realize that. So let's see. Are you understanding a little bit of what I'm saying?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. I do.
Okay, because I'm going to explain that again in kind of a better way. Okay, I see a horn tubule here that goes clear up to here. See that?
I do.
Okay, that horn tubule is supposed to be right about here. All right, and even less, it would be right about here. Okay, so if I go and I shorten, let's say I bring my toe back to here. Okay, this wall is stretched out and forced forward here. I would want my wall here, that's up here, I would want it to stand up, to come back, suck back in, and get rid of the stretched toe in the front and stand up more. But it can't. It can't come back because this guy here is holding everything up here. See that?
I do. Yep.
Yeah, this guy here has to come back and drop down like this so that it gives this part here room to come up and then fall back in as well. So this is structure, just like a house, you got your studs, right? Got your studs, and you build your walls, and they got to be just like so. Well, same thing with this. You don't want to go you don't want to go like this, that's not how you build your house. Well, I mean, maybe you're building an addition with some shape like that, but that is not, it's we build things a certain way for a reason. It's structural principles. I know there's some sort of law where if something is taking up a space, something else can't come in there and take up the same space without moving it. Anybody know what that is? Something smart, you know, some magic formula some scientist created. Just like these heels. When these heels are trimmed out and the back of this foot is pulled down, well, there's already something here. So if this foot gets pulled down, it's going to push whatever's underneath it down. Well, there was something over here. Well, okay, so the something that was right here, it's going to get pushed. Well, there was something in the way where it got pushed to. So it gets pushed like this. And there was something in the way where that was, and it gets pushed right up into that coffin joint. See there? Gets pushed into other anatomy because it's being forced out of its boundaries. So this is all about structural principles, period. And since we know the structure of the foot, which we always have to go back to when we're looking at these feet, that these feet, okay, what happened there? These feet are supposed to be like this. Of course, your foot ain't quite right here, but I'm going to kind of draw a simulation. All these horn tubules in alignment, parallel, going all the way back, getting gradually shorter as they go back towards the heel. Now, that's not exactly right, but just to give you an idea, so of course, this one here shouldn't be clear up here. See, I'm going to have to move that. Well, look, this could almost be our house, right? Wait a minute. What is going on? Okay, this could almost be like the house I was showing you. We got your 2x4s, you got, your framing for your house. Okay, so you don't want the 2x4 that goes here. You're not going to put you don't want it over here because first of all, it's going to knock all these out. Boom, 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 like that. So we're just trying to get stuff back in alignment here. Okay. Okay. That must be in my pictures. Here, let's look at that picture while we're here. Look at the heel. That is not Jamie Jackson's one wild. Even the rear foot doesn't look like his horse. Let alone, let's say the rear foot, this horse has a good 2 inches of heel. Let's say the rear foot does look like that. Well, what if the front feet don't? Are we going to take this horse and force those feet onto that horse? See? Yeah, look at them feet. Look at that. See? There's lots of wild horse pictures now, so that is not a good model. But anyway, okay. Let's go back to this here. See, your mapping is looking good. You're going to want to, can you soak her feet at all?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Soaking is key. And I can tell here that there is a lot of anatomy bound up in here. And so continuing to trim the frog, soaking. I mean, you can soak them for a couple days if she'll keep something on her feet. You know, I take a couple socks and put on them, and then I put a good thinner duct tape around the pastern with I like bend a piece over on the end so I can rip it off, you know.
Okay.
And then I'll take a plastic bag and fill it full of liquid, and then I'll put a plastic bag over that with another piece of duct tape around it. And then I put another sock over that with another piece of duct tape, and then I put the foot in the boot, and I'll have it, and I'll soak them for. I have soaked them. I've kept them wet for a month or more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it really doesn't hurt them. And see, and it's funny, my horse's feet, the wetter they get, the harder they get. You know, what it does is gets rid of all the dead stuff. It allows stuff to start expanding so you can see what's going on. Because see, she is frog bound here. And so all this foot is pulled down and bound in here. I would do a 2 or 3 day soak if I could, you know. And they might even have some special they do have these special little boot things. They're blue and they got a zipper on them. And if you got a little extra big pair or something, you could put a sock on them and then soak the sock, you know. But keeping them wet, see, is the more you can soak the feet. Like around here when it rains for a month, that's my favorite time of year because that horse's feet are constantly wet. And that's when I can really get some stuff done and get some expansion to my feet, you know.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just
Yeah.
put her in a round pen.
And fill it with water.
Exactly.
Okay, so see, you can put some notches in here and then take this toe back a little bit. Okay.
That's so cattywampus.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know, here's the thing. If you just take back the toe when her foot is bound, then the front of the toe, the dorsal wall is going to come back and bend her foot the other way.
Well,
So
we definitely want that.
we don't want to do that to her. So you can keep that toe. That toe looks so long. So where is it?
It's
that
long.
really that looks really long there.
It is.
You know.
Well,
but
it's probably almost 2 inches of that lamina stretched.
Yeah. Switch, you could probably take some of that off, but you do want some of it, a little bit of it pulling that foot forward so that this doesn't just come back like that, because then it'll pinch your foot.
Okay.
Because it will do that. You know, just working now the back of this is looking good right here, but she's gonna wind up expanding way more back here. You know, and so if you can do some soaking, and just take a little bit of the leverage off this toe. You know, this is a balancing act. You know what I mean? Like you could probably take that much off. Just right there. That's still gonna leave quite a bit there. And so you're doing a balancing act. You don't want to take off so much that this wall is going to shrink back and pinch the foot and like take the coffin bone, because what it'll do Okay, what it'll do, like say this is the wall of the coffin bone. Okay, and if the wall totally comes back, then it can push it back more like that. See, it's already been having all this anatomy shoved up into it so that it was like this and it got shoved up like this, you know. So I think you can just do this in increments to where it doesn't wind up hurting her foot. Yeah, you're just a balancing act with this corrective trim and stuff.
Yeah. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to be shaping the hoof capsule as well. Like do the two dorsal wall, and then to the right and left 2 inches and a 1/4 inch shorter.
You lost me on that.
I'm good like that.
No, it's not you, it's me.
Like when you shape the hoof capsule
Mm-hmm.
to the inner foot, you measure the dorsal wall,
Yeah.
and then you go to the right and left
Oh,
2
yeah.
inches
Okay.
over and a
Yeah.
1/4 inch short.
Yeah.
Am I going am I
Except,
doing that as well?
no, not right now,
I'll
because
do
you've got this flare in the toe. So that doesn't really work on that.
that.
You know, we want to just start getting some of this out of here. Pretty much trimming the frogs and soaking it so that the frog will release. Like when you trim this frog, how hard is it?
Well, I just did it tonight, and actually, it looks a whole lot different from what we're looking at right now.
Oh, okay, good.
I mean, it's a big turnaround.
Okay, great.
So I use the sander, and it's
Mhm.
soft. I'm sure it'll harden back up. It's probably all periople.
Yeah, well, that's good if it's soft because you want it
Yeah.
to be soft.
Mm-hmm.
See, because you want that to release because her foot, the back of her foot is being held there by that frog. You know, so it's going to
Mm-hmm.
have to be soft in order to give her some release there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So,
Okay.
so that is what I would work on. I wouldn't be overly concerned with length of toe, but I would take a little bit of this back, you know,
Okay.
and just so there's not quite so much leverage out here, you know, maybe do about half,
Okay.
you know, and it'll still be putting some pressure forward, which is good, pulling the foot forward. But mostly I would work on this frog, like you already said you did. Because
Mm-hmm.
see, this is looking good. I think you're doing a good job. Okay. You're working on that frog. You got your frog mapped. You know, you're getting your bars over. And I think you're headed in the right direction.
I hope so.
I do too. Hey, you know, when I do my horse's feet, you know, I'm always hoping I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're learning more and more, but there's a lot still that we don't know. I mean, we're being forced to do corrective trimming that the experts should know, you know, that they don't. So we have to do it, you know. I mean, pretty much what they know is uh make a better shoe, you know, and they've gotten pretty darn good at that. You know, they're pretty darn good at making all different kinds of shoes, you know. So Okay.
Okay.
Do you think you got enough to kind of get started there on a couple
I
things?
do. Yep, I
Okay.
do. Thank
And
you.
and I'm always available too, if you need to
Okay,
message me or anything like that. Okay.
okay.
Okay. And
Thank you very much.
well, you're welcome and thank you. And
Yeah.
if you know you're trimming and you want to know something, yeah, always feel free to message me anytime.
Okay, I'll
Okay?
do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Well, okay, guys, I think that's pretty much it for today. It's kind of gonna be a short one.
Well, thank you, Linda.
Hey, thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Linda. God bless you, Linda.
God bless you. Love you guys.
Love you
Hey,
too.
Thank you.
have a great week, okay?
Will
You
do.
too.
You
Okay,
too.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, none of this got recorded. I do not believe. Oh, I guess it did. Oh, well, good.
Good.
Good. I got a lot of stuff that really tick a lot of people off there if they ever do listen to it. That's, yeah, me. Win friends and influence people. Hey, okay. Hey, y'all have a great week. Oh my God, the dogs are going crazy. Better go.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Lordy.